worldwide. Wherever you travel, you'll find trained experts prepared to serve you. So, for superior products, always look for the name Autolite, because from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
Next week, the true story of an escape to freedom in which it has been necessary to change the names of all the principal participants in order that their survivors, still imprisoned, may live. It's called Listen, Young Lovers. Our stars, Mona Freeman and Robert Wagner. That's next week on Suspense. Suspense is transcribed and directed by Elliott Lewis, with music composed by Lucian Morowick and conducted by Lud Gluskin. Weekend Special Death was written for Suspense by E. Jack Newman. In tonight's story, Anthony Barrett was heard as Tony and Joseph Kearns as Fred. Featured in the cast were Hy Averback, Whitfield Connor, Mary Jane Croft, and Barney Phillips.
Agnes Moorehead is now appearing in the Universal production of The Magnificent Obsession and will start on tour in October in her one-woman show, The Fabulous Redhead.
And remember, next week, Mona Freeman and Robert Wagner in Listen, Young Lovers.
You can buy Autolite Stay Full batteries, Autolite Original Service Parts, or Autolite Standard or Resistor-type spark plugs at your neighborhood Autolite dealers. Switch to Autolite. Good night.
More than 500,000 children and adults are afflicted with cerebral palsy. Your dollars will help to cure and prevent this disease. Will you send a contribution tonight to your local affiliate of United?
You're listening to Old Time Radio Sunday on Kpnl Radio, Portland, Oregon.
And your donations. You're listening to ABN, the Antioch Broadcasting Network. You can find us on the web at radio.macinmind.com. Mac as in mind, I had the Mac in mind when I wrote this software. That's radio.macinmind.com. We now present Mystery and Thrillers on ABN, the Antioch Broadcasting Network. This episode of Inner Sanctum first aired Monday, May 3rd, 1949, 72 years ago today.
Good evening, friends. This is your host to welcome you through the creaking door into the inner sanctum. Well, I booted myself over to a traveling freak show this afternoon to see how the competition was doing. Ran into an old schoolmate, fascinating fellow. We once voted him most likely to succeed. He did, and how. He's a high man in the snake pit. A frightful accident happened in the squirt. The peanut concessionaire went up in flames. Yeah, some joke had given him a hot foot. Well, before I left, the owner offered me a very lucrative job. Pick any cage you like, he said. I told him I'd think it over sometime when I got my mind back.
Tonight's Inner Sanctum Mystery, The Corpse is Lonely, was written by John Robert and stars Larry Haynes in the role of Smitty with Barbara Wheeler.
And now for tonight's anguish. We're on the ground level of an old abandoned lighthouse on Jellicoe Strip, a narrow 2-mile islet off the North Atlantic mainland. It's the exact instant a sputtering fuse hisses close to a wooden box that reads, "Danger, Dynamite." Near the box, lying dazed, are two figures.
Julie.
A boy and a girl.
Julie.
The boy rises, staggers unsteadily, then reaches down frantically, unconsciously towards the girl.
Julie, get up. Julie will be blown to bits.
The 100-year-old lighthouse lies toppled in a crazy pile of shattered stone. figure, one lies outside it. Flung clear of the wreckage in a freakish whim of the fates. One figure. The boy. Blood spurts from head wounds and mixes with the sand under him. His eyes open slowly, and he stares in a slow circle, away from the lighthouse, as if trying to find it. His eyes fix on nothing.
Jolie. Jolie, I can't see. I can't see. I'm blind. I'll write my story on the wind. Yes. The short, happy story of Smitty Lonergan. It began with an old green bottle on the beach. Only yesterday. I've been out all day casting for sea bass in an old rowboat rigged up with an outboard motor. When I'd had enough, I ran the boat up on the beach. Except for the seagulls, I was alone. I thought. It was a beach at the tip of nowhere, a 4-mile walk from town. I just dropped my anchor when I saw the old green bottle lying on the edge of the beach like it had just been washed ashore. There was something inside it, rolled up. And a metal stopper that took every ounce of strength I had, trying to pull it free.
Let me give you a hand at that, kid.
Who are you?
Sharky. You don't need to look so green. I ain't gonna bite you.
Well, where'd you come from just now? I didn't see
I was
any...
watching you from up on the dunes. Hand me that bottle. There, just takes a little muscle. Now, let's see what you found, kid. Yeah. Sheet of paper.
Looks more like old parchment.
Yeah, it does. There's a coin with it. Old green coin. Looks Portuguese to me.
No. It's American. It's an old gold coin.
Well, what do you know? $50 gold piece at that. Yeah, what does the paper say?
Well, it's old script.
Don't get
to make out.
that stall. Make it out.
Well, read it for yourself, why don't you?
I don't read. Oh, come on, kid. Come on. No need getting your back up.
Can make out the words 1/3 to the Lady Jane, 1/3 to the croaker, and 1/3 to the sea.
1/3 to the Lady Jane, 1/3 to the croaker, 1/3 to the sea. What does that double talk mean?
I don't know. There's a signature on it. Captain Crow. That's all there is.
Lies sticking out all over your face, kid.
Well, what do you mean?
There's more on the back of that paper. Give it to me. Part of a map. This is the third of the map that went into the bottle you fetched out of the sea. The second piece went to some Lady Jane, and another third to the croaker. You get the 3/3 together, and you got a map leading to a lot more of that gold.
Now, look, Mr. Sharkey, I found the bottle, and you're horning in.
No, kid, I'm not horning in. I'm taking over. Map, gold piece, right in Sharky's jeans. Hey, you don't like it, huh?
You're a cheap crook.
Gonna hike to town. Tell the sheriff.
You bet your life I am.
Kid, I never yet saw a dead man walk to town. Any town.
Yeah. You gonna kill me?
Sure. Like this.
No, Sharky. No, the map is all yours.
Not while you're blabbing around town, it isn't. Not. Kid, I'm shot. Jolie, she shot me. You're laughing?
Yeah. But I don't see anybody.
She'll show from over the dunes when it's safe.
Sharky. Sharky was dead. And Julie showed. I watched her come down over the dunes, holding a rifle aimed and ready. A girl gotten up like a beachcomber. Was wearing fisherman's pants slit along the thigh, with long hair flying wildly.
Sharky done for?
Yes. Yes, he's dead. You saved my life.
All I did was kill Sharky. Get the stuff he stole from you out of his pockets.
Yeah, sure.
What's all this?
Oh, just some old junk I found in an old bottle.
Sharky was because of some old killing your junk. I don't like liars, mister. Sharky was a liar.
All right. It's an old gold coin. There's a letter and part of a map.
Part of a map that leads to more gold coins. Was that the way Sharky figured it?
Yes.
Then that's how I figure it. We're partners, mister. What's your name?
Smitty.
We're partners, Smitty. Now help me dig a hole for Sharky.
Partner, Julie. I'm on the bazaar on my own.
This rifle says otherwise. I just traded in Sharky for you, handsome. Now dig that hole and then start chasing down the gold.
The gentler sex. Whoever coined that phrase never met Julie. Well, I went right to the one source that could tell me the most about Captain Crow, the signer of the old letter I found. My informant was a peg-legged old man called Uncle Cale, the village record keeper.
Captain Crow, huh? Funny you should come inquiring about him.
I'm writing a book on New England history. There was a Captain Crow, eh?
There was, until the county hung him 20 years ago, about the time I lost this leg.
Hung him, you say? Why?
Well, piracy was only one of the reasons. Crow had put out the signal flare lit off an old Jellicoe lighthouse so that passing ships would ram into the rocks and sink.
Oh. I guess Captain Crow's scheme netted him quite a lot?
Yeah, I reckon it did. Everything floating to shore was salvage, and Crow knew just where to lay waiting for it. Well, Crow went down after.
Diving suit?
Yep. And grappling irons.
Oh, I suppose he came by a lot of gold that way, huh?
Well, I can't say he didn't. There was talk once about a gold shipment that never got past them rocks off in Jellicoe Lighthouse.
Uh-huh. I ran into a couple of funny names connected with Captain Crow. I wonder if they make any sense to you.
Yeah, fire away.
Lady Jane and the Croaker.
Lady Jane and the Croaker? Now, where did you come by them?
Around. They mean something?
Why, they're right here in my records, in the last will and testament old Captain Crow made out before they hung him. I remember reading them names like it was only yesterday.
Can I see the will?
Yeah, I guess you can. You'll be in the book writer. I'll go scout it up. And I got it right here. Penned by old Captain Crow himself. Now, let's see what it says. A ship's clock, grappling irons, a diver's suit, windlass, a rocker, a picture of Lady Jane. And there's one of your questions answered, son.
A picture of Lady Jane?
Yep. A hand-painted picture of a sailing boat. Went to his sister right here in the village, the way he wanted it. Hester Crow's got the picture now, hanging over a mantel.
What about the Croaker?
Well, the Croaker is written down here as a stuffed parrot.
A stuffed parrot? Who did Captain Crow leave that to?
Yeah, his brother Tom. Yeah, Tom's got that stuffed bird sitting on a table in his parlor right now. I saw. Seen it there. Say, you want to hear the rest of what Crow divided around in his will?
No. No, thanks. I know all I want to know. Thanks. Mr. Crow and Tom Crow, the surviving brother and sister of old Captain Crow. I had 2 stops to make. To pick up a painting of a ship and a stuffed parrot. Yeah. Pick them up somehow. Buy them if I could. Steal them if I had to. Hester Crow's cottage faced the sea in a deserted corner of the village. Picking my way up a short flower path to the weather-beaten front door, I knew I wouldn't have to buy or steal the Lady Jane picture. Hester Crow was just about giving up claim to it. Inside on the floor with a face splotched green and purple and twisted as if she'd just screamed at the devil was Hester Crow.
Stop staring stupid and get the painting down off the mantelpiece.
Julie, you killed Hester Crow. It didn't have to be murder.
When you're told it's chasing kill or be killed.
How'd you know to go after Hester Crow?
I was outside the window listening to you pump that record keeper. You just thanked him and walked away, sucker. You got a double track back there sometimes, Smitty.
And murder Uncle Cale, I couldn't.
And I'll have to do it for you. I'll get that Lady Jane picture down. Rip off the back. Well, is it there or isn't it?
It's there. Another 1/3 of a map.
That proves the letter in that bottle was a McCoy.
Yeah, I guess it does. We just need the last third of that map now.
The stuffed bird sitting on Tom Crow's parlor table. A stuffed parrot's gonna make us rich. What are you staring at me like that for?
You're crazy.
Maybe. But you're going to be crazy about me.
Am I?
You'll see. Now, you go down to the beach and wait for me. I'll go get that stuffed bird.
You're gonna kill Tom Crow?
You forgot what I told you about chasing gold?
No. No, I didn't forget. You said kill or be killed. I hiked 4 miles back to the beach as Julie had ordered me to. And I waited for her to come back with the stuffed parrot. Oh, I was in deep. Playing patsy to a crazy murderess. With no way out. The hours went by and the dawn came up. But Julie didn't show. Julie didn't show. But somebody else did. Somebody else came scooting along the surf in a 20-foot motorboat. A burly guy with a wind-tanned face and a yellow poncho and a rain hat. With a sheriff's badge pinned on his chest. And with him, piloting the motorboat onto the beach, was a short, olive-skinned fisherman.
Hiya, son. I'm Sheriff Carcass.
Hiya.
Been camping out here?
Yeah. Is it okay?
I guess it is. Outside the town limits here. Where you from?
Inland away, Fall River.
On the bum?
Sort of. I'm between jobs and thought I'd like to get a little fishing in before locating again.
Fish biting?
Some.
Yeah. What line you in when you work?
No line, especially jerking the so odd jobs.
Uh-huh. Been into the village lately?
Yeah, I thought I'd look it over. Why?
Well, no reason, especially. You got any objection to looking it over some more? Me showing you around?
Do I have to?
Maybe you do. Got no reason not to want to, have you?
No. Why do you ask that?
No reason, especially. Old Hester Crow died mysteriously last night, but that shouldn't bother you any. Didn't even know the old lady, did you?
No, I didn't.
If you're ready now, we'll go.
And if I'm not ready now?
Then I'll have to take you in. Son, you're up.
Julie! It was Julie who shot you, Sheriff.
I don't see nobody.
She'll show. From over the dunes. Julie showed. I watched her come down the dunes. A rifle aimed and ready. Pointing at the olive-skinned little guy who piloted the motorboat for the sheriff.
Sheriff changed his mind, handsome?
He's dead. He came to arrest me for the murder of Hester Crow.
That's all your needs knocking from up there. Good thing for us the sheriff came along.
Good thing.
And how? We got a real motorboat now and a pilot with it. You there, what's your name?
Pedro, senora.
What do we need a motorboat and pilot for?
To get to Jellicoe Lighthouse and get that gold.
Jellicoe Lighthouse?
Yeah. Here's the third of that map that was sewed in the stuffed parrot. Put the 3 pieces together and read it for yourself.
What happened to the owner of the stuffed parrot, Ed Crow?
You just gotta know, huh? Read the map, handsome.
According to the directions and arrows, there's something buried in the foundation of the Jellicoe Lighthouse.
And there's something gold.
Well, to get at it, we'd have to take the whole structure down. That means wrecking equipment. It's too big a job for us.
You sure quit easy. What's wrong with dynamite in the lighthouse?
How do we get the dynamite?
By getting it. Pedro, come here.
Si, senora.
You want to stay alive?
Oh, si, senora.
Then tell us where to lay our hands on a box of dynamite.
But, senora, Pedro do not know.
Pedro had better know.
Pedro did know. We watched Pedro's dynamite fill a box in the private pier of the county construction company.
I had stole the box of dynamite, senora.
Now, let's get out of here. Head straight for the Jellicoe Lighthouse, Pedro, as fast as you can push this tongue.
The Jellicoe Lighthouse is over there, senora. On that little island. See, I throw the light on it.
I see it. The lighthouse is abandoned, isn't it?
Oh, senora, a long time there is nobody in it.
Stop the boat here.
Here? In the middle of the water?
Right here. Turn around, Pedro.
What for?
Do as I say.
Surely. Pedro's helped us.
One of you's got to go, handsome. I can't keep an eye on both of you in the dark and on that island at the same time. I'm only a helpless woman. Which'll it be, Smitty? You or Pedro?
Go ahead, make it me. You'll kill me anyway, sooner or later.
Maybe I won't. Ready for it, Pedro?
Si, senora. If I have to die, I am ready. Thank you, senor, for trying to save Pedro.
We planted the dynamite in the ground level of the Jellicoe Lighthouse during a lashing gale. Pencil strips of moon shining on Julie's face looked like tigress stripes. There was a crazy gloating burning in her eyes.
Is it all right, handsome?
Yes, it's okay.
Now, light the fuse.
The whole lighthouse will blow sky high in a minute.
And shower us with gold.
Let's get out of here before we blow up.
Let's not get out of here.
Let's not. But Julie will...
You will. Move and I'll shoot you.
Go ahead, shoot. I'm coming. Not good enough, Julie. I've got enough left to choke the living breath. Kills. 3 kills, he said. She sagged in my hands and fell over unconscious. I couldn't bring her to it. Dragged myself out in time. I'm here now. On the beach. Blinded by the blast. Writing my story on the wind.
Hello. Son, you find that gold yet?
Uncle Kalo. How'd you know to come here?
I was the one who sent you here.
You sent me here. Oh, sure. You gave me the lead on what Lady Jane and the croaker meant.
More than that, I was the one who drew up that letter and map and put it into that old rum bottle for some scavenger to find on the beach.
I don't get it.
Old Captain Crow never had any gold. It was me that made you think he had by forging them writings on an old paper I tore out of a book, by hiding pieces of a map in the back of that picture and in the stuffed parrot.
Why did you do all that?
Payment for my leg. The leg I lost.
Oh, sounds crazy.
I lost my leg in the service of the county, but not a cent come to me for the loss. And I was to get my pension from the county board, except for 2 votes going against it.
2 votes. Hester Crow and Ed Crow voted against you.
They did. May they squirm everlastingly in their graves.
So, your scheme was to get them murdered by someone who was after the pieces of a map you planted in their home.
Yeah. And it worked. Jim Dandy.
Why did you come here now? To laugh at me for playing sucker?
No, son. To make my peace with you before you die. I left the story behind me all written out, and they'll be coming here after me. I've had my revenge. And I allow I'm touched in the head some, but I wanted to make my peace with a good lad like you before you die. You scared?
Not of dying so much.
And then of what?
Of someone waiting to meet me where I'm going. She swapped Chalky in for me. You hear her? I got rid of her once. But I'm afraid she's going to get me this time.
What do you bet now that he's crossed the great divide, Smitty's troubles begin to multiply? Julie won't take no for an answer, especially now that she knows Smitty's a real gone guy. Did somebody say Uncle Cale gambled a $50 and hit the coin, the crackpot? Well, what do you say we close this merriment with a moral, everybody? When bottle washes out of the sea, don't pull the stopper, sucker. You might blow your own top.
Be with us again next week at this same time for another Inner Sanctum Mystery. This program was heard in the United States over CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System, and has been rebroadcast for servicemen and women overseas. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
This is ABN, the Antioch Broadcasting Network. You just heard an episode of Inner Sanctum, which originally aired Monday, May 30th, 1949, 72 years ago today. This episode of Crime Club first aired Thursday, May 29th, 1947.
Hello, I hope I haven't kept you waiting. Yes, this is the Crime Club. I'm the librarian. Murder makes a mummy? Yes, we have that story for you. Come right over. Ah, you're here. Good. Take the easy chair by the window. Comfortable? The manuscript is on this shelf. Here it is. Murder makes a mummy. The very absorbing story of a corpse that wouldn't be bound by the rules. Let's look at it under the reading lamp. There are some people in this world who just can't be satisfied. One of them was Barney Crawford, son of Chief of Police Crawford. For most young men, that would have been enough. But not Barney. Oh, no. Barney wanted to be an Egyptologist, too. It was early one afternoon, and Barney was feeling very much at home in the Egyptian room of the local museum. He was having a wonderful time, the wonders explaining of a dead civilization to Janice Turner, his fiancée, who, at the moment, was sorry the civilization was not only dead, but buried as well.
Great, mysterious Egypt. Cradle of civilization. What accomplishments. The pyramids, mummification, the Sphinx.
Oh, it's such a beautiful day. I'll bet there are some people who are really enjoying it.
Look, here in this case is the scarab. To you and me, an ordinary beetle. But to the ancient Egyptians, a god who is...
It's pretty.
Of course. It's solid gold with emerald eyes.
Now, that would make a lovely pin on my new dress.
Yeah. Let's go on, Janice. There's something in that case over there I want you to see.
I'll probably never get over it.
Yes, sir. One of the marvels of all time. The mummy.
How do you do?
Let's read what it says on the card.
If you must.
This mummy is unknown, but is believed to be the remains of Ra Marduk, the son of Shishak, pharaoh of the 22nd dynasty.
My goodness. As expensive as that?
22nd dynasty. Janice, don't you realize that's almost 3,000 years ago?
Barney, I'm sure the ancient Egyptians were a great people.
Great. They were tremendous.
But I never knew they wore rubber heels in those days.
Why, they had inventions that... Huh? What'd you say?
I said, I never knew the Egyptians wore rubber heels.
Well, of course they didn't. Whoever said they did?
Don't argue with me. I'm just looking at the feet of this mummy, where some of the wrappings had come off.
Holy mackerel. That is a rubber heel. Come on, Janice, we better send for my father. This might be a murder. And that's the whole story, Dad. We were all right until Janice noticed the wrappings that had come loose.
And there, as big as life, Chief Crawford, was a black shoe with a rubber heel staring me in the face.
We'll soon find out who it belongs to. Here comes Sergeant Bailey.
Chief, the coroner's all through with the still.
Now we go to work.
He says the fellow was killed by a knife in the back.
Uh-huh. Where's the knife?
Well, there's no sign of it, sir. Not yet.
Did you find any identification on the body?
Not a thing, Chief. But the killer left all the labels in the dead man's clothes.
Okay, run them down.
Yes, sir.
I can save you a lot of time, Dad.
Well, sure you can, Barney. Now, why don't you and Janice go someplace pleasant, huh?
That's a wonderful idea. We'll do something about it right now.
No, wait, Janice. Dad, I think I can identify the dead man.
What?
Yes. He was Carter Baldwin, an excavation engineer. I've seen his picture in the papers in connection with Egyptian expeditions.
What do you mean, Egyptian expedition?
He used to dig into the tombs of the ancient pharaohs.
What a way to make a living.
Oh, Chief.
What's the matter, Bailey?
There's something I forgot to tell you. The coroner said this guy's body was embalmed.
Embalmed? Oh,
Dad,
what?
that means the murderer must have embalming facilities.
Thanks for the tip, son. I could never figured that out for myself.
Good heavens, I didn't think it was true, but...
Now, what do you want?
I'm John Lawrence, the curator of the Egyptian section. My assistant told me the police were here and that the body of a murdered man was...
It was, Mr. Lawrence, in this mummy case.
But that's impossible. There was a mummy in this case when I received it this morning.
This morning, eh?
About 6 hours ago. I can't understand it.
Where did it come from?
From Robert Prentice, the millionaire jeweler. He's one of our most generous benefactors. More than half the exhibits in this room were donated by him.
I see. Well...
Dad, would you mind if I asked Mr. Lawrence a question?
You? Now, see here, Barney. This is police work. Why don't you and Janice...
Mr. Lawrence, did you examine this supposed mummy when it was delivered to you?
Why, no. But I can explain...
Yet you allowed it to be put here for the public to look at.
I'm sorry. It was against the rules of the museum. But, gentlemen, I have so many duties, and this morning I was unusually busy.
With what?
We're setting up a new room in my office. Please understand, Chief. Mr. Robert Prentice has given us thousands of dollars worth of Egyptian relics. If it had been anyone else...
That's no excuse, Lawrence.
This is the first time, positively the first time, I've allowed anything like this to happen. Believe me...
Yeah. Bailey. Yes, sir. You and the boy here from stay here to get this building a thorough going over.
Okay, Chief. Where are we going, Dad?
Robert Prentice's house.
What do you mean, we?
Well, this is a subject I know something about, and I thought if you ran into something that was over your head, I might be able to...
All right, let's go.
Oh, Chief Crawford.
Yes, Janice, I suppose you want to trail along, too.
Well,
sure, why not? You found the corpse. Come on. We'll make this a family affair. Now, wait a minute, Mr. Prentice. Relax for a minute.
How can I, Chief Crawford? Think of my position. A reputable businessman, a figure in the community.
All I want to know is whether...
I donated that mummy to the museum, and now you say it's been replaced with the body of a murdered man. What will people think?
I can't worry about that now. Where did you get that mummy?
I bought it from Professor Morton, an Egyptologist.
Where did he get it?
He brought it back from Egypt several weeks ago.
Professor Morton, huh? Barney, did you ever hear of him?
Well, I don't recall offhand, Dad.
Neither do I, Chief.
I can assure all of you, Professor Morton is a scientist in good standing. I've had many dealings with him in the past.
I don't doubt it. But about this mummy, what proof have you got that you bought him?
I'll show it to you. It's right here at my desk. A bill of sale signed by Professor Morton. Would you like to see it?
I think so. One sarcophagus. Period 1000 to 900 B.C.
Dad, is that all it says?
That's all, Barney.
Nothing about Ra Marduk, son of Shishak?
Ra who? Son of what?
Oh, I guess in the excitement of the museum, Janice and I forgot to tell you. You see, there was a card.
Naturally, Mr. Crawford. Since Professor Morton had no positive proof that the mummy was that of Ra Marduk, we couldn't put that statement on the bill of sale.
Well, then actually, you don't know what you bought, do you, Mr. Prentice?
Frankly, I didn't take the wrappings off to look.
And for all you know, it might have been the body of a murdered man.
Now, see here, Chief Crawford. Aren't we carrying this a bit too far?
How well did you know Carter Baldwin?
I didn't know him at all. I'd heard of him, but I never met him. Why didn't you ask Professor Morton about him? He might be able to give you some vital information.
Such as?
I couldn't say. But Morton and Baldwin went out on several expeditions. There was a close professional relationship.
The kind that might lead to murder?
One never knows what will lead to murder.
Yes.
But Professor Morton never impressed me as a man of violent moods.
We'll see. All right, Mr. Prentice, I'm sorry we bothered you.
No trouble at all. Anything I can do to help.
We'll let you know. Come on, kids, we're going for another ride. Let's hope this thing doesn't turn out to be a merry. Professor Morton?
Yes?
I'm Chief of Police Crawford.
Chief of... Oh. Have I done something wrong?
That's what we're here to find out.
And, these people?
My son, Barney Crawford.
How do you do, sir?
And I'm Janice Turner.
I'm so glad to meet you. Come in, please, won't you? Now then.
Oh, Barney, look at this place. It's like a museum.
Thank you, Miss Turner. Everything you see here is an authentic relic of old Egypt. Oh, but forgive me. I have no right to call them relics. They are living things. This vase, for example, once adorned the palace of Cheops, pharaoh of the 4th dynasty, one of the builders of the Great Pyramids.
It's beautiful.
And this solid bronze bench.
Oh, when you two get through with your torch announcements, I'd like to ask you a few questions, Professor, if you won't mind.
Oh, yes. I'm very sorry. What can I do for you?
Tell me about the mummy you sold to Robert Prentice, the jeweler.
A fine specimen. And Mr. Prentice is a fine gentleman.
Why didn't you want to certify the mummy belonged to Ra Marduk?
Ra Marduk? Who was he?
Well, he was a... Yeah, you tell him, Barney.
Well, Ra Marduk was the son of Shishak, pharaoh of the 22nd dynasty.
Oh, yes, I know Shishak intimately. But Ra Marduk...
Now, see here, Morton. You told Prentice the mummy might be Ra Marduk's.
Did I?
Professor Morton, did you or did you not sell a sarcophagus to Robert Prentice a few weeks ago?
Of course it was my latest acquisition.
With the body of Carter Baldwin in it?
Carter Baldwin?
Oh, now don't tell me you don't remember him either.
I wasn't going to, Chief. Carter and I were...
Were what?
Well, we were associates.
And you didn't like him, did you?
He was the worldly type, not very likable.
You don't kill people for that, Professor.
Was he murdered?
Yes, he was.
Oh, Barney, Chief.
What is it, Janice?
Look what I found. The most wonderful collection of daggers.
Daggers, did you say? Where?
On this table. Look at them. As sharp as razors.
Well.
I'm really proud of this collection, Chief. It's the rarest in the world. Why, some of these daggers have been traced back...
Save the lecture, Morton. I'm taking them all down to headquarters.
Oh, but you can't. They're priceless, irreplaceable.
We'll take good care of them.
Oh, dear, this modern world. Why must you take them away?
Well, one of them might have bloodstains on it that don't go back 3,000 years. Let's go, kids.
Oh, my.
Stick close to the house, Professor. We might need you later.
I won't go away, but I don't understand why...
Chief Crawford, you don't think that sweet old man is a murderer, do you?
Maybe.
Oh, just because he had those daggers in his house. Good heavens.
Dad, haven't we overlooked something?
What now, Barney?
The mummy.
Well, what about it?
Carter Baldwin was found in a mummy case. Now, where's the mummy that was in that case when Robert Prentice gave it to the museum?
Where?
Yes. How do we know Morton didn't substitute the body of Carter Baldwin for the mummy before he sold it to Robert Prentice?
Barney, I don't believe it.
What do you think, Dad?
You mean Prentice gave it to the museum without knowing what was in it?
That's right.
Yeah. On the other hand, how do we know the switch wasn't made by John Lawrence, the curator?
That's what I say. Lawrence was in the best position to do it. And if you ask me...
Yeah, Lawrence was the last stop on the line for that sarcophagus. Why didn't he check it before he put it in a room for public exhibit?
He didn't have to. He knew what was under those wrappings.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm going back to the museum for a talk with that curator.
Dad, would you mind if Janice and I didn't go?
Oh, that would be a pleasure, Barney. You call me at headquarters later. I'll give you a first-hand report.
Now, Barney Crawford.
Janice, I wonder if Morton might have an extra mummy lying around.
Shall we go back and ask him?
No, dear. We'll go forward towards the back of the house and look for a cellar door.
Say when, Barney, if you need another hairpin.
No, thanks. This'll do.
I still think we're going about this the wrong way.
Be patient, Janice. I'll have this door open in a minute.
That's not what I'm talking about. Now, instead of a mummy, we should be looking for a motive.
I told you that comes later.
But a motive, dear, usually points to a murderer.
Oh, a dozen people can have motives. Here goes the lock. Now to open this door without making too much noise. So far, so good. Let's get down those steps. Now, you go first. I'll close the door after me.
Oh, where are you? It's pitch black in here.
Wait a minute. I'll get my cigarette lighter. How's that?
Gives light, but very little comfort.
Here, take my arm. We've got a lot of exploring to do.
Ooh, this is the eeriest cellar I've ever seen. Just walls and corridors.
Pretty queer for a private house.
Well, we've got no right to expect anything else. Professor Morton is an Egyptologist.
There's an open door, Janice. Let's see what's in that room.
But that doesn't make him a murderer. Why, that sweet old man must cry every time he accidentally steps on a bug. Oh! Barney!
What's the matter?
Look, those animals all over the room.
Oh, those. They won't bite you. They're only bronze figures. There's some cats. There's a bull. Over there on the shelf, some falcons.
That bull's the fiercest looking thing I ever saw. Light. And in this... Barney, what's the idea of the menagerie?
Well, the ancient Egyptians worshipped these animals as gods. They must be priceless.
I wish they were somewhere.
Here's what I'm looking for.
What?
All those mummy cases. One of them might contain... Wait a minute.
Barney, why did it blow out the light?
Shh, listen.
Oh, someone's closed the door. We're locked in.
Must have been the professor. Hey, let us out!
Bang on the door.
I am. Let us out!
Bang on the door, Barney. I don't hear you doing it.
I am. Janice. Oh, I'm afraid it's useless.
What do you mean?
Well, the door's made of solid stone. Here, wait till I light my lighter again. Yeah. And look at the walls. All stone. Just like the inside of an ancient Egyptian tomb.
I'm thrilled. What are we going to do?
Oh, I don't... It looks like I've outsmarted the two of us. But good.
Barney, how much longer are you going to open and close mummy cases?
This is the last one, Janice. Well, no mummy.
Thank heavens. All I need now is a mummy to cheer me up. You know, your father should have arrested that Professor Morton.
Oh, have you changed your mind about him?
What, Barney? Do you think he'll...
was that?
I don't know. I'm afraid to look.
Janice, you darling. You touched the spring in the bull's eye, and the wall opened.
Does that mean we're free?
It means something. Let's see.
Oh, Barney, it's not an outside wall.
No, it just leads to another room.
And there's another bull standing on a platform.
That, darling, happens to be a cow.
Well, I don't care.
And if my guess is right, it's Hathor, the ancient Egyptian cow goddess.
This is no time to get technical.
Well, I was only trying to explain, Janice.
Explain us out of here. Is this room a solid vault, too?
Yeah. Seems to be. And it's outfitted like an ancient sacrificial chamber.
Sacrificial? Oh, Barney.
Janice, come on.
What are you going to do? Walk us through a solid wall?
I'm going to poke my fingers into the cow. Maybe those eyes. Same magic will work twice.
Oh, sure. Just like in the movies. Barney. It's open.
Let's not stop to admire the scenery.
Oh, I never thought a hole in the wall would be so beautiful. Say, there's a flight of steps.
Yes, up to the professor's living quarters.
Dear Professor, how I'd love to wrap him up.
All right, but take it easy. We may have to take him by surprise.
Nothing would give me greater pleasure.
Yes.
And I hope we scare the pyramids out of him.
We'll have to be very careful now.
You think he might have a gun?
Maybe.
Is he there?
I don't see him. Let's not get frisky. He might be in one of the other rooms.
Oh. What's that?
Only the telephone. Let's get outside, Janice. The professor should be coming in here to answer.
Nobody home.
Unless he's got an extension upstairs. Come on, I'm going to pick up the receiver and listen. Nobody on the line. Professor's out.
He's run away.
Yes. Well, I better call Dad at headquarters and tell him about it.
And while you're giving him an earful, tell him how that sweet old man locked us in an airtight vault and left us to suffocate.
I'll give him a full report. Hello, police headquarters? Chief Crawford, please. This is his son. Oh? Yeah, I'll try in there. Thank you. Goodbye.
Well?
Dad's still at the museum.
Then that's where we're going. I want to tell him about Morton right away before that murderer has a chance to go too far.
Hey, Bailey! Bailey!
Yes, sir.
What are you standing around for? I told you to turn this place upside down to get every man working.
Oh, Dad!
Well, what do you want, Barney?
I tried to get you at headquarters.
He got away. John Lawrence got away. Slipped right through my fingers.
Wait till we tell you what we've been
Not
through.
now, Janice, please.
What about Lawrence, Dad?
Well, we got here right after closing time. That curator was not in his office, so we decided to look here in the Egyptian room.
And, of course,
Yeah, there he was with his nose stuck halfway into one of those mummy cases. He took one look at me, dropped the lid, ran out of the room on the other side. We haven't been able to find him since.
What about the missing mummy, Dad?
That, too. We've searched this building from roof to cellar. Every mummy case that's supposed to be empty, every closet, the boiler room, we even checked the furnace.
But no mummy. I see.
Bailey! Yes? Get headquarters on the phone. Tell them to send out a nationwide alarm. I'll get this guy Lawrence if it's the last thing I do.
Ooh, your pop's really in a huff. Well, we should have told him about Morton anyway.
Come on, Janice, we've got things to do.
What kind?
It's 9 o'clock and the public library closes at 10. We'll have to hurry.
What are we going to do at the public library?
What are we going to do? Some reading, of course.
Barney, you study without being mysterious. Now, why did you drag me all the way here and to the section with the dustiest books?
Here it is.
What?
A history of the pharaohs.
Oh, no. Now, what's that got to do with the murder of Carter Baldwin, a 20th century excavation engineer?
Shishak.
Will you stop the baby talk and answer my question?
Shishak, pharaoh of the 22nd dynasty, the father of Ra-Marduk. Remember?
No, dear. I wasn't there when it happened.
Here it is, page 90.
And it would have been a wonderful thing for all of us if Morton hadn't been there either.
Shishak.
Shishak. Ra-Marduk. Oh, what names to hand down from father to son. Boy, how those people must have hated each other.
Janice, we've been chasing all over town for nothing. Shishak never had a son by the name of Ra-Marduk. Someone pulled a fast one on the museum by sticking a phony label on the mummy Robert Prentice donated.
Professor Morton.
Janice, you are absolutely the cleverest girl I've ever known.
No, he tells me.
Remember how you argued with me about looking for a motive instead of a mummy?
I'll never forget it.
Why, you were right. That's what we should have done from the start. Come on.
Wonderful. Where are we rushing to now?
To the home of Carter Baldwin, the murdered man. I'd like to poke into his private papers, if they're still around.
Well, Barney, what goes?
Now think, Janice. I've gone through every paper on this desk.
Baldwin may have had other hiding places. Why don't we turn on the room lights?
Well, the cigarette lighter will have to do, or less apt to be seen from the outside.
Yes, darling. But suppose the well runs dry.
Well, then we'll... what's this?
Discovery?
This book on the table. The Great Jewel Robbery.
Barney, you're not going to read it now.
No, dear. I did that once before, some time ago. It's very interesting, and I think it solves our case.
Barney, you sure you're all right?
I'm perfect. This book tells me all I want to know about the murderer and his motive.
I knew it. Too much Egyptology.
Listen, I'll tell you the story. It's about a band of thieves that became very rich, plundering the tombs of the Egyptian pharaohs. You know, a lot of those tombs are studded with emeralds, rubies, and other precious stones worth millions.
Go on. I'm beginning to see what you mean.
Well, legally, those stones belong to the Egyptian government, and excavators are duty-bound to turn them over to the authorities.
But this gang smuggled the stones out of the country.
Yes. Then, posing as Egyptologists, they transported the mummies and other contents of the tombs and either sold them or donated them to museums.
Was Carter Baldwin mixed up in that kind of a racket?
He might have been.
He was an excavation engineer, and he and Professor Morton... Barney.
What's the matter?
Kill that light. There's someone at the front door.
Let's get behind the sofa. Stand as you are.
What?
Don't turn around. And don't turn off that flashlight or we'll shoot.
I see here.
Put your hands over your head. That's a good boy. Keep him covered, boys. I'm going to frisk him. Yeah, just as I thought. A gun. All right, Janice, you can put the room lights on.
Janice?
Just keep facing that wall. I'll tell you when to turn around. Now.
Why, it's Robert Prentice.
Surprised, honey?
Well, aren't you?
Not anymore. Well, Prentice?
I've nothing to say to you, Mr. Crawford.
Oh, come on now. Let's not be coy. What did you expect to find in Carter Baldwin's wall safe?
I said I have nothing whatever
Evidence,
to say.
wasn't it? Evidence that you and Baldwin were robbing the tombs of the Egyptian pharaohs.
Don't be ridiculous.
It's quite a racket, wasn't it? Baldwin explored and plundered, and you, Prentice, the fashionable jeweler, sold the precious stones to innocent purchasers. Why did you kill him?
Accusing me of murder?
Why not? It's the truth, isn't it?
I should say it isn't, young man, and if you want more careful of what you say to
now
me,
look
I'll...
here, Prentice. It's the end of the line. Would you tell you what mistakes you made?
Mistakes?
Number one, showing my father that bill of sale for a sarcophagus.
Legal transaction.
Number two, telling the museum the mummy might have been that of Ra Marduk, son of Shishak.
Professor Morton gave me that information.
Without putting it on the bill of sale?
I didn't want his assumptions. I wanted facts.
And he gave them to you. But he said nothing about Ra Marduk because he knew that Shishak had no son by that name.
Then he lied to me. I bought that mummy in good faith. You're so eager to find a murderer that I suggested...
There's still a third mistake. You told my father that you'd never met Carter Baldwin. Now, who told you about his wall safe? His ghost? That does it, doesn't it? I knew we'd get you eventually. It was just a matter of time. Well, Janice, Prentice just made a full confession to Dad.
Is it worth listening to, Barney?
Well, that depends on if you care. Baldwin was going to cut Prentice out of the racket, so Prentice killed him.
And had him embalmed. Who did that, Barney?
An undertaker's assistant. The fellow's answering a lot of Dad's questions right now.
But, Barney, why did Morton lock us in that vault?
Well, he didn't know we were there. He went out of the house and simply closed the door to his storeroom, and we just happened to be in it, that's all.
And it would have been that's all for both of us if I hadn't made a bullseye.
Or if I hadn't made a cow's eye.
I'm going to ignore that, Barney. But what about John Lawrence, the curator?
Well, I knew he was innocent the minute Dad told me what Lawrence was doing in the Egyptian room.
He was looking into a mummy case, wasn't he?
Yes, and obviously he was looking for the missing mummy. Now, if he'd been the murderer...
He'd have known where he'd hidden the mummy, of course.
No, dear. He'd have known there'd never been a mummy.
What? Now, look here, Barney Crawford.
Prentice showed us a bill of sale for a sarcophagus, didn't he?
I know all about that, but what I don't know...
Well, a sarcophagus is a mummy case and nothing more. If there'd been a mummy in it, the bill of sale would have said so.
Oh, so that's why you rushed to the library to find out about Ra Marduk.
Ra who?
Ra Marduk.
I haven't got the slightest idea who you're talking about.
Barney.
Well, that's better. I know him. The other guy never existed. He was never even born.
And so closes tonight's story, Murder Makes a Mummy. Stedman Coles wrote the radio script. Jock McGregor produced and directed for Roger Bauer. Tonight's cast included Lawson Zerby as Barney Crawford, Jane Harvin as Janice Turner, Al Hodge was Chief Crawford, Lon Clark, Robert Pratt was this, and Ted Osborne played Professor Morton. Oh, I beg your pardon. Hello, I hope I haven't kept you waiting. Yes, this is the Crime Club. I'm the librarian. Yes, come over a week from tonight. Good. We have the very exciting story of a vacancy that was filled by death. It's called Murder Rents a Room by Sarah Elizabeth Mason. In the meantime, there is a new Crime Club book available this week and every week at bookstores everywhere. Yes, it's available now. Fine. And we look for you next week.
Before the war, the United States was a fourth-rate military power, with a standing army of only 178,000 men, and that's smaller than Poland's, Romania's, or Turkey's. But the United States emerged from World War II in a position of world leadership, with all the many attendant responsibilities. In order to maintain the peace and build for future security, the Congress has authorized the building of the largest peacetime army in our history, an all-volunteer army of over 1 million men. Today's regular army is one of the greatest scientific research organizations in the world. And because of its emphasis on scientific research and development, its men are highly skilled in radar, small arms, chemical warfare, photography, or any of the many other highly specialists. Remember, the regular army man of today is not in the army because he couldn't get a job anywhere else. He is in because he has brains and ability and desires to profit by technical training that is second to none. This program came from New York. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
You just heard an episode of Crime Club, which originally aired Thursday, May 29th, 1947. Stay tuned for Chandu the Magician, next on ABN.
You're listening to Old Time Radio Sunday on Kpnl Radio, Portland, Oregon.
And your donations. You're listening to ABN, the Antioch Broadcasting Network, playing a daily schedule of vintage radio genres and matching today's date in history when available. Visit radio.macandmine.com for a schedule. We now present Chandu the Magician on ABN, the Antioch Broadcasting Network. This episode of Chandu the Magician first aired Tuesday, December 28th, 1948.
Chandu the Magician. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight and every weekday evening at this time, the makers of White King Granulated Soap and Sierra Pine Toilet Soap present for your enjoyment Chandu the Magician. And Chandu has a thrilling new magic offer for you. For just 10 cents, he will send you his mysterious Waters of the Nile magic trick. Just 10 cents and a White King soap box top or 3 Sierra Pine toilet soap wrappers. Listen. With this trick, you can defy the laws of gravity. You can take a bottle filled with water and turn it upside down without spilling a single drop. Why, you can shove a match or toothpick through the mouth of the bottle, and even then, no water will come out. Here is a wonderful pocket trick for you youngsters to spring on your schoolmates, you men to play on your fellow workers, or you ladies to perform at a party or bridge game. And it is yours for just 1 dime. Yes, 10 cents in coin, plus a White King soap box top or 3 Sierra Pine toilet soap wrappers. Mail with your name and address to Chandu, Los Angeles 21. And Chandu will send you the Waters of the Nile magic trick postpaid. Send for several of these tricks tonight. In Cairo, Frank Chandler, by his occult powers, has erased from the uncanny memory of Pierre Duval all recollection of Robert Regent's notes, the record of a scientific discovery of international importance. And since the notes themselves were burned by Duval, the process is forever lost, not only to the sinister Roxor, but to the world. Meanwhile, after seeing in the crystal a terrifying Robert Reed picture of facing death in an unknown jungle, the Regent family leaves for Singapore, preceded by a message from Chandler to one of his agents, Dr. Sun. From this man, they learn that Regent is believed to be on a strange, forgotten island off the coast of Sumatra. But Chandler suddenly arrives and realizes the man posing as Dr. Sun is in reality a member of the dreaded Daku Kafai, Brothers of Jeopardy. The present scene is the veranda of the Sabang Hotel in Medan, Sumatra. Chandu the Magician.
With all that mob going by, we could all the time to see Dad if we went right past the place.
I could see him. I could too, Mother. I'm disappointed in Sumatra, aren't you?
Well, I hadn't thought about it, Betty. Well, you wouldn't even be here, Bets, if Mom hadn't made such a thing about coming with Uncle Frank.
You don't blame her, do you?
Well, no.
Gee, I always thought Sumatra'd be kind of wild and mysterious, with black jungle rivers running through it.
Yeah, and everybody carrying those Malay knives.
Don't
talk about knives. Those savages we saw in the crystal. Ooh, I'll never forget them.
Mother, you know Uncle Frank got Daddy away from them.
Yes, but for all we know, he's lost in that awful jungle. If only... Mom, there's Uncle Frank. Right there. See him? No, Oh, Robert's not with him.
Over here, Uncle Frank.
Well, there's some kind of celebration going on here today. It's almost impossible to get through the streets. Robert should be here soon, Dot.
Here at the hotel?
Yes. I found the boatman who brought him back from the island.
Was he all right? Are you sure it was Robert?
From the description, it must have been.
But where did he go, Uncle Frank?
They have no idea. Gee. He wouldn't have told the boatman that, Bob. But he can't leave Sumatra without knowing we're here. I left a message at the steamship office and the airport.
You did, Daddy wouldn't say whether he's sick or not.
I don't know, Betty. The boatmen were still terrified over going to the island. They kept looking over their shoulders as if they weren't safe, even now.
Oh, I don't wonder.
Gosh,
I hope he doesn't just collapse somewhere. Then we'll never know where he is.
You're not speaking of me in that...
Robert!
I couldn't believe it when I got your message. What are you all doing in Sumatra? Hello, Frank.
Oh,
Daddy.
Oh, sit down here, Robert.
Yeah, no, let's go down to the end of the veranda. Can't talk here without the whole town hearing us.
I was going to join you in Paris, Dorothy, as soon as I'd seen the man I came here to meet.
Oh, Daddy, we haven't been in Paris for almost 2 weeks.
What?
Cairo, we followed you, and then Singapore, and now here.
And there's nobody for you to meet, Dad.
No, Robert. You ought to know better than to believe anything Roxor tells you, dear.
Let's sit down before we go into that.
I don't understand all this. If you weren't in Paris when I cabled you, how did you know I'd gone to Cairo?
Uncle Frank and Mother saw you in the crystal, Daddy.
You did? Well, I'm beginning to believe it was sorcery you studied all those years in India, Frank.
Not at all.
If these things can be demonstrated scientifically, think what it would mean.
Now, you're not going into a long scientific discussion. I want to know how you are.
Why, I'm perfectly well, Dorothy.
You don't look like it, Daddy.
You sure don't. You look awful.
Well, do you two think that's the way to make him feel better?
Well, you can see.
Just keep it up and he really will be ill.
Well, you know, I've hardly been out of the laboratory in Paris since I began to work there. It's no wonder I haven't your California tan.
Now that we've caught up with you at last, you're going home with us. Not to shut yourself up in your laboratory there either.
I shan't promise that. Max and I are going to be working together again. Perhaps he'll come to California this time.
You mean Roxor, Daddy?
Is that what he told you, Robert? Is that what induced you to rush off to Singapore?
Why, yes. He's completely changed, Frank. Since you blocked his scheme to invade Montebania, he's given up his entire plan. At last, he knows he'll never be able to conquer the world. I knew it would happen someday.
Well, you see,
I realize it's hard for you to believe, but I promised he's even to turn over those drawings he had stolen from me in California. That's why I came to Singapore. And then...
Risked your life on that island. Oh, Robert.
I didn't get the drawings, but I know the man has them there somewhere. Frank, perhaps you and I...
Gosh, Dad. Uncle Frank, tell him.
Tell me what, son? Well, you all look as if I were holding a lighted fuse in my hand.
You have been, Robert. Roxor never had the intent or emotion of giving up his plan and going to work with you.
But I talked to him in Cairo. And in Singapore, I met the man he told me to see.
And he sent you to that island to meet someone else.
That's true, Frank. Well, I had a little trouble with a tribe of natives, so I came back here to get help.
A little trouble?
It wasn't too serious, as it turned out. Frank, I'm sure Max's man was there somewhere.
Why?
Well, look here. Max could have no possible reason for sending me all the way to Singapore if the drawings hadn't been found there.
He has a very good reason, Robert.
What is it, then?
You'll see. Just describe the man you saw in Singapore.
He was a Chinese, looked like a scholar. He wears the silk robe of the Manchus, very precise, almost courtly.
And calls himself Dr. Sun.
You know him.
We all know him, Robert.
He's a member of an organization called Dakuka Phi. You ever hear of them?
But they were thieves, drug sellers, murderers. I thought they'd been wiped out long ago.
Far from it. And now they've joined Roxor's other agents.
That guy even told us the real Dr. Sun was dead. He sounded like he'd killed him himself, Dad.
So Max made a fool of me once more. But those drawings must be found, Frank. I can't go home until they are.
Oh, yes, you can, Robert.
That awful man even told Mother you had a big emerald that belonged to him, and you'd better give it back or else.
What's that?
He sure did, Uncle Frank. It was just before you showed up.
But I've never had such a stone.
I told him that. Frank, he said it was supposed to have what he called miraculous powers. He must have meant yours.
He must indeed. So that's what they're after. Should they But what Robert had the emerald? Unless...
Unless what, Frank?
Well, Roxor has said so much about your scientific genius. In fact, he thinks it's almost uncanny.
Oh, nonsense.
Not at all. These fellows have the impression from him that it's some sort of magic. Before he's through with them, Roxor's going to wish he'd never heard of the Takuka Fire.
You've got to find some way to convince them Robert never had that emerald.
Dot, the safest thing for all of you is to take the next ship home to California.
No.
No, Dad. Those darn drawings might still be in Egypt for all you know.
And anyway, Daddy, Roxor told Uncle Frank he didn't need them anymore. Didn't he, Uncle Frank?
Yes.
Only that was before
Bob.
Before what?
It doesn't matter now. The thing to do is to go back to Singapore. If you can't get a reservation on a ship leaving at once, you can fly home.
Let's do that. Let's see if we can get a plane back to Singapore this afternoon.
But I still don't think... What's that sound?
Oh, dreadful icy wind on the back of my neck. It's like a premonition of death.
Mother, don't.
This time I know it's a message from the yogi. Listen.
Hey, you look as if you could see him.
Of course I see him. Right over there. Be still. I am listening, my teacher.
My son, hear my words. Thou art about to enter upon a time of testing, a time of terror, when thou wilt come to believe thou hast been forsaken.
Forsaken? I will try to understand.
Bets, do you see him?
No, I don't see a thing.
Children, be still.
It is written that the outcome is in thine own hands.
I will remember, my teacher.
But if once thou shalt give way to fear, thy powers are to be lost to thee.
You mean fear for those who are with me?
I appear to thee now to strengthen thy heart. This much I may tell thee.
I am listening, my teacher.
Thou art going on thy appointed way. Keep close to thee the ones who dwell within the magic circle of thy love. Remember, my son.
I will not forget. I will keep them with me.
When the message comes, obey it. The way will open before thee.
I will go as it is written, my teacher.
If thou shalt lose the power thou hast gained through all thy knowledge, many who walk in the path are also lost.
But, my teacher, may I...
I have spoken, my son. Remember my words. Remember, await the call. Await the call.
Just 1 dime and the White King soap box top or 3 Sierra Pine toilet soap wrappers, Chandu will send you his gravity-defying trick, the magic trick he calls the waters of the Nile. Once you know Chandu's secret, you can fill a pop bottle full of water, turn the bottle upside down, and not a single drop will spill out. That's right. In defiance to the natural laws of gravity, the water appears to suspend and stay in the bottle. To everyone's complete amazement, you can even insert matches, toothpicks, or even a pencil inside the neck of the bottle. They, too, will be suspended in the water. Here is a magic trick that will entertain and mystify everyone. And it is so easy to perform that anyone, young or old, can master it in a couple of minutes. Add this magic trick to your collection right now. Send 1 dime and a White King soap box top or 3 Sierra Pine toilet soap wrappers to Chandu, Los Angeles 21. Be sure to print your name plainly. That's Chandu, Los Angeles 21. Chandu the Magician is presented for your enjoyment every weekday evening. Frank Chandler is played by Tom Collins. The makers of White King invite you to listen tomorrow at this time when the story resumes. Chandu the Magician. This is the Mutual Don Lee Broadcasting System.
This is ABN, the Antioch Broadcasting Network. You just heard an episode of Chandu the Magician, which originally aired Tuesday, December 28th, 1948. This episode of Chandu the Magician first aired Wednesday, December 29th, 1948.
Chandu the Magician. Were you disappointed because you failed to get Chandu's money changer trick when he offered it to you a few weeks ago? Then listen. Chandu brings this magic trick back to you. Once again, you can have Chandu's Assyrian money changer for just 25 cents in coin and 1 White King soap box top or 3 Sierra Pine toilet soap wrappers mailed to Chandu, Los Angeles 21. Listen. Place a penny on a table, then cover it with the mystic ruby block. So, coot, you say. Then remove the block. Now the penny is gone. In its place is a silver dime. You can perform this fascinating trick over and over. Your friends will never catch on. Now, to get Chandu's Assyrian money changer, just mail a quarter and a White King soap box top or 3 Sierra Pine toilet soap wrappers to Chandu, Los Angeles 21. Send for your money changer tonight. Knowing that Robert Regent has been tricked by the sinister Roxor, Frank Chandler and the Regent family have followed Regent from Cairo to Singapore and then to the East Indian island of Sumatra. There they meet him, finding him still certain that Roxor's agents will turn over to him the drawings and the deadly formula stolen from the Regent home in California. Chandler insists that the Regents return to California at once. But at that moment, the mystic psychic summons is heard, and Chandler hears the voice of his teacher, the yogi, in an ominous warning. Chandler is not to permit his family to leave him. Moreover, a time is at hand when he will be in danger of losing all the occult powers he gained long years during the study in India. The present scene is a corner of the lounge of the Sabang Hotel in Medan on the island of Sumatra. It is night. Chandu the Magician.
What can Daddy and Bob be talking about all this time? It's almost 8 o'clock.
They'll be down in a little while, Betty.
Bob's wanted a chance to talk to your father for a long time.
I hope they haven't gone out anywhere. I feel as if this whole town was full of those awful men. What do you call them?
The Dakuka Five.
So do I. I wish you wouldn't insist on our staying over here, Frank.
Dot, you know I wouldn't have had that message from the yogi without a good reason.
Well, that's another thing. I don't see why he has to be so obscure. Why can't he come right out and tell you what he means?
Because I have to work these things out for myself.
Oh, I just wish we could go home so Robert could take a long rest and get well. He's done enough.
Oh, let him alone, Dot. Can't you understand how he feels? He's already lost 9 years from his work.
Well, that's just it. But if he must work, it can be on something Roxor doesn't care about. There must be something that won't threaten his life every moment.
You know Robert's work is his lifetime.
Oh, Frank.
He's not the first man to risk his life for what he's trying to do for the world. Look at the atomic scientists.
Oh, I often think of them and their wives.
2 or 3 of those men have died just to gain a little more knowledge for other men to go on with.
I know what Mother means. It's not fair.
Well, we can't...
What's the matter?
I don't know. I'm going to see. I'll be right back.
What was he looking at, Mother?
I don't know, dear.
Look here. What's this all about?
Dewan?
You've been standing here in the shadows for 15 minutes. And now there are half a dozen other police officers stationed here. What's the matter?
The crowd, Dewan. On such days as this, we always watch.
Don't try to put me off. I know there's something wrong here tonight.
How could one know?
I lived in this part of the world for years. I know the signs. Now tell me, what is all this?
There has been warning of a feud, as to one would say. It is expected there may be difficulty tonight.
You mean some of the hill people, or what?
To one, I cannot tell. I only stationed here by Her Majesty's officer.
Hmm? Oh, I forgot for a moment this was Dutch territory. What do you expect to happen?
It is not known to one. But these people, who have been brought by the hotel to amuse travelers tonight, are thought to be among the men in the difficulty.
Difficulty? That's hardly the word to apply to a blood feud that may end in murder.
I beg to one will not tell any of us what I have said to the traveler.
Certainly not. And I'll appreciate it if you don't tell your officers asking questions.
Oh, not to one. The trouble may not come if we watch.
Come and sit down, Uncle Frank. Look over there. He's a singer or something. Doesn't he look fierce?
He certainly does, Betty.
Who was that man you were talking to?
Well, just one of the native police force. The hotel asked for extra police because of the crowds in town for the celebration.
I shall tell a tale in the manner of the English, beginning once upon a time.
Oh, that's a strange beginning for a storyteller who looks as if he were straight out of the jungle.
I wish Daddy and Bob were here to see him.
Far, far in the jungle, where darkness lives even when the sun is high, lived a tribe of warriors, fighting men, which was tall and strong, skilled in battle, and without fear. So that the other tribes walked softly and in terror.
This is the kind of stuff I like. All that
This is
sticky
the
stuff.
way
Where'd you come
of the
from?
jungle.
Where's Dad?
He'll be here in a few minutes, Mom.
Now you must know that this tribe had gained their great strength and power through secrets known only to their wise men. And their wise men bowed before Malakon Haya, the deadly cobra. Lord of the jungle was the great cobra.
Oh, I don't like this.
It's only a story, Mother.
I don't care.
Sit still, Dot.
You can't the message the yogi meant.
I don't know yet.
Means
Now it was known to all of this that men tribe did not die from the venom of King Cobra. So it happened that in the darkness, when the warrior tribe slept, the wise men of another tribe brought a beautiful maiden to the village and went a softly way.
I can't stand this, Frank. I'm going upstairs.
Oh, Mom, for Pete's sake.
Well, I'll slip out through the door here. Don't get up.
For they said to each other, if the warrior tribe believe their cobra god desires this maiden, they will keep her, and she will learn their secrets.
You know, he's looking right at you, Uncle Frank.
Keep still, Bob.
And so it was. But among the warrior, only the son of the chief stood by the council fire to beg the life of the maiden. For when he saw her, with her eyes like the soft eyes of a frightened cheetah, he loved her.
Wouldn't you know it would get around to love?
But the wise men knew why the maiden had been sent. And the maiden and the son of the chief, who had turned from the cobra god because of love, were sent together into the jungle, and the drums sang their wild and secret song. But when they stood together beside the jungle pool, King Cobra was there before them. Malakon Haya, swaying his hooded head as he looked at them, and in his eyes was death.
Uncle Frank, is he really talking to you?
I hope not, Betty. I'd hate to think what it could mean.
Late at night, while the council fire flamed, the son of the chief returned alone. And his heart was empty, and he knew not any man again, though the wise men cast their spell. And even today in his jungle temple, the ancient cobra god watches over his people, as he has done for 1,000 years. And his is the wisdom of the East.
Wisdom of the East. He is talking to me.
And even today he remembers, and he waits for the story of King Cobra, god of the secret jungle, is without end.
Golly, was he trying to scare everybody to death?
The hotel people must have a crazy idea of fun.
The manager's over there with the musicians. He obviously didn't know what story the fellow was going to tell.
I guess not. That guy ducked out the minute he got through.
I'm glad Mother didn't stay to hear him. She can't stand snakes. Oh.
Shall I go up and get her, Uncle Frank, so we can have dinner?
Do that, Bob. We'll go in and get a table.
Okay. Oh, here she is. Come on back, Mom. It's all over.
Frank, Robert's going to have his dinner sent up. I thought I'd like to have mine with him.
Oh, all right, Dot.
Is Daddy feeling better, Mother?
Well, he says he is. Frank, is that man looking for you? The policeman you talked to?
What? Oh, yes, I think so. Bob, you and Betty go into the dining room. I'll join you in a few minutes.
Tuan, while storyteller speaking, a man gave me letter for Tuan.
Thank you.
The man could not come into room. It is forbidden. The man will wait outside. If there is an answer to be taken.
I see.
What do you mean? Why couldn't the man come in?
Such men are not permitted. It is rule.
I know. And tell the messenger I will go as soon as possible tomorrow.
As Tuan said.
And give him this, will you?
Oh, it's too much, Tuan.
No, it's all right. And thank you.
It is nothing, Tuan.
Frank, who's that letter from? Where are you going?
It's from Dr. Shaw, and we're all going.
But, Frank...
I can't disregard what the yogi said, Dot.
You mean about not letting us out of your sight?
What was all that about a time of terror?
I don't know yet, Bob.
Oh, Frank, who is he? Dr. Shaw?
Well, I've never met him, but he's worked for the Inner Council for years. He's in a jungle village in Siam.
Siam? You can't be serious.
Well, we may not have to stay more than a few days. At least you may not.
Frank, listen to me.
No, Dot. There's a reason for this.
But...
There must be. And I promise you that as soon as I find out what it is, you can all sail for home.
Well, thank goodness that's settled. I'll tell Robert.
Good. But if I know what the name yogi really meant, a time of terror.
Chandu's Assyrian money changer trick is back once more in a thrilling encore offer. Yes, once again, you can have this magic trick to mystify and entertain your friends for just 25 cents and the box top from a package of White King granulated soap or 3 Sierra Pine toilet soap wrappers mailed to Chandu, Los Angeles 21. This trick is so clever it is very hard to detect, yet so easy any child. Listen. You lay a penny on a table. You can do it. You cover it with the mystic ruby block, the money-changing block. So, coot, you say. Then raise the block. And lo and behold, the penny has become a silver dime. Make magic your hobby. To get your Assyrian money changer, send 25 cents in coin and 1 White King soap box top or 3 Sierra Pine toilet soap wrappers to Chandu, Los Angeles 21. Be sure to print your name and address plainly. Chandu the Magician is produced and directed by Cyril Armbruster. The makers of White King invite you to listen tomorrow at this time when the story resumes. Chandu the Magician. This is the Mutual Don Lee Broadcasting System.
You're listening to Old Time Radio Sunday on Kpnl Radio, Portland, Oregon.
And your donations. You're listening to ABN, the Antioch Broadcasting Network, playing a daily schedule of vintage radio genres and matching today's date and history when available. Visit radio.macandmine.com for a schedule. We now present Spy Stories on ABN, the Antioch Broadcasting Network. Here's an episode of The Lives of Harry Lime, the Third Man, which originally aired Friday, May 30th, 1952, 69 years ago today.
Presenting Orson Welles as the Third Man. The Lives of Harry Lime. The fabulous stories of the actor, mortal character, originally created in the story The Third Man, with zither music by Anton Karas.
The police of Milan, like the police of any other town in the world, can sometimes be mistaken. And when they got certain mistaken ideas about me, I didn't stay around to put them right. I thought it'd be simpler just to leave town. So I took the morning train down to Genoa and had lunch at Enrico Ricciardi's. Ricciardi himself brought me brandy after lunch, compliments of the house to an old customer. And when we both had our backs turned, a fly lit on the edge of the glass. Then it wandered off drunkenly along the tablecloth, and I took up a newspaper from the neighboring table, folded it, and swatted. I missed the fly, but I saw the ad printed at the top of one of the columns in the back of the paper. Wanted, it read, wanted multilingual publicist to promote young lady, 23. As I translated that into English, it meant that they wanted somebody who knew a few languages. Well, I did. As for promoting a young lady of 23, I might be qualified there by inclination and by experience. So I topped off the brandy, said so long till later to Ricciardi, and went out to the street, dodged the streetcars, and started up the hill. The advertisement had given an address. The street happened to be one I knew, overlooking Genoa Harbor, on the hill above Ricciardi's. Melody Johnson wasn't home when I got to the address on the hill above Ricciardi's. Melody Johnson. That was the name given in the ad. I didn't know she was a Dixieland trombonist or a sheet company, but music. Turned out she was neither. The old Italian landlady let me in, and there were photos of Melody all over the house. The landlady said it was very sad, but Melody, though she was so beautiful, had to work for a living dancing at the Genoa Palace, which was where she'd be after 8 that night. I took another look at those pictures, took pity on Melody, and made my plans for after 8 in the evening. In the Genoa Palace dance hall, among those dark Genoa girls waiting for dance partners, I'd have picked out Melody Johnson even if I hadn't seen her photos. She had hair the color of red clover honey and blue eyes that might have been a size or two too big, except that on her they were just right. I bought tickets, the band went into a slow rumba, and I abandoned myself to Melody.
You rumba beautifully.
You don't do so badly yourself, honey.
But I've had so much training.
You say that as if you had regrets.
Regrets is a nice word for chords. Oh, yes, my training's been very thorough. It began back home in New York. But I wanted to see the world.
So you joined a show or a dancing troupe and came to Europe, and the outfit went bust and left you stranded here, right?
That's just about how it started.
Thanks for the dance.
Yes, you. Thanks. But you're an American too, aren't you?
That's right.
Are you over here in Europe on business?
More or less business. My name is Harry Lime. Does that mean anything to you? Don't answer that.
All right, I won't. Mr. Lime, I hope you've bought enough tickets so we can have the next dance.
I bought your whole evening. Look here, with these tickets, we can dance all the way to the French frontier.
Then let's walk out in the garden.
Okay.
It'll be dark and we'll be alone. We can talk, can't we?
What else could we possibly think of to do? Well, we actually got down to business after a while. It seems that Melody Johnson wanted to hire somebody to promote her entry queen. This is a beauty. She looked like a beauty queen. But as I was kissing Melody Johnson, my sixth sense told me instinctively that Melody was off-key, if you'll forgive the joke. To the five senses, she was a beauty queen, all right, but something made me think there was something more that didn't meet the eye. So that's all there is to it, You want somebody to sell you as a beauty. Motion pictures, maybe, Beauty contest, cabaret work?
Yes, Harry. Oh, there's just one thing more. The person we're ready will have to travel.
Oh, when and where?
Very soon. Very, very soon. As to where, well, I'll tell you that when you've told me you'll take the job. Will you take it, Harry?
Well, Melody, suppose you give me a day to think it over. I was in my usual hangout in Genoa and Ricciardi's the next afternoon, thinking it over and reading the papers, and a fellow with very much the look of a Milan police officer came in. Did he know the whereabouts of one Harry Lime, he asked Ricciardi. Never heard of a guy of that name, answered Ricciardi, of course in Italian. I went on reading the paper, lifting it a little higher, in fact, high enough to hide my face, but I remembered what Melody Johnson had said. The person who took the job she offered would have to be ready to travel. Well, I was ready to travel. Very soon. Goodbye to Genoa.
Thank heavens. Ooh, that awful job in the dance hall.
Arrivederci, Italia.
No, not goodbye to Italy, Harry.
No?
Not quite. The ship stops at Naples on the way.
That's right, and then Alexandria. Then where?
Cairo.
Cairo.
That's because of the beauty contest, Harry.
You want to be Miss Pyramids of Giza?
Because of the honor and the publicity value. And then there's a big money prize.
Mentioning money reminds me of something. Look here, let's just move a little further on down the ship rail. We can overhear what we say. Now, isn't there something you want to tell me, Melody?
Well, I don't understand what you mean.
Well, this is what I mean. You want somebody to publicize you and promote your interests.
Yes.
That's very natural, but what about this? Doesn't it seem to you just the least bit queer, honey, that you had to work in a taxi dance hall to keep yourself alive?
But, Harry, I told you about the gambling.
You told me you fell in love at Monte Carlo.
With roulette.
All right, but since roulette proved bad for your financial health, isn't it odd that you bought both of us first-class cabins on this ship? Very deluxe accommodation.
No, Harry, it's not odd at all.
Oh, it is.
There was nothing else available. All the other space on the ship was sold.
Unless it was a possible explanation. Maybe it was a real one. Very spacious up where my stateroom was. Deck A, high up. We had a steward for every 3 or 4 cabins up there. The best service. Mine was quite an unusual fellow, my steward. I asked him about himself when we were an hour or 2 out of Genoa. He'd just brought me in some fresh towels.
Here you are, sir.
Thanks, steward.
Not at all, sir.
Hey, you're not Italian, are you? Don't mind my asking?
No.
So that was his story. He'd been at his country's embassy in Brussels when the Russians lowered the curtain on the world at home, and since then he'd done one job and another. Said his name was Balko, in the Bohemian or Magyar, some such language. Paul in English. I said that was what I'd call him. Told him I probably wouldn't be a lot of trouble to him.
But whatever you will require, sir, I will be at your service, naturally.
Oh, thanks. I only mean, Paul, I expect to be out of the cabin most of the time. By the way, if I'm needed, messages, anything of that sort, you probably better try the vicinity of a passenger on upper B deck. That's where I'm likely to be.
The passenger's name, sir?
A young lady, Miss Melody Johnson. I'm sort of employed by her, as you might say.
Can that be true?
Well, you say that as if it meant something to you.
It is only... I have, of course, heard of Miss Melody Johnson, the beauty queen of Monte Carlo, I believe.
That's right. She was.
So then, sir, you are a very fortunate man to know her, to be employed by her. I'm told she's a very beautiful woman.
Yes. You've never seen her yourself?
I have never seen her, but she has been described to me.
Well, Paul, the steward, wasn't the only one who took a special interest in Melody Johnson. Of course, up to a certain point, this was natural. Melody was probably the most beautiful girl afloat.
How nice it is up here on the deck. So nice and lonely. And just think, in the morning we'll be in Naples. Harry, are you listening to me?
I'm looking at you, Harry.
Can't you listen to me for a minute?
I can divide my attention.
Oh, seriously, I have a confession to make. There's something I haven't told you. Well, I didn't want to hire only a publicist to promote my good looks. Well, I suppose what I really wanted was sort of a bodyguard.
Oh.
You know, may I tell you something?
Okay, go ahead. Tell me something.
Well, the other night, when I learned who you were, I was frightened a little because of your reputation. Things I'd heard about Harry Lime here and there. But now, well, here alone with you, I feel secure. I'm happy.
Well, I'd be happy, too, if we were alone.
What do you mean?
Well, when they built that housing back there, the deck 6 or 8 yards, they may not have built a man's head and shoulder and an arm looking around the side of it.
Harry, there is someone there. I'm watching a man.
Don't be frightened. Come into the shelter of this lifeboat. Damn it.
Yes, all right, Harry.
I'll make it look all right. We'll pretend to kiss. What am I thinking? I'm out of my mind. Pretend to. Turn up your face.
Oh, is this a good plan, Harry?
So far, it's a wonderful plan. I kissed her, and then I left her by the lifeboat and turned around and walked back up the deck. The man pulled in like a turtle, shrinking into the angle of the housing. Good evening. Out for the salt air?
Excuse that I have intruded on yourself and the lady. I stopped only to light my...
Well, that's all right, old man. Don't apologize at all. Only take a tip from me.
Senor?
Next time, don't light your cigar after it's already lit. Goodbye, old man. When I squired Melody to her cabin, I went back to my own. Somebody had been there before me. The cabin didn't look gone over, but 1 or 2 small things were out of place. Had somebody found a way to break in? The little Italian fellow with the lit cigar, or Paul the steward? He could have let himself in without any trouble. But what was whoever it was looking for? What did he want? I checked through my things. Nothing was missing. It wasn't until the next day when we docked in Naples that I began to get some idea of what it was all about. Stop along here, driver.
Si, signore.
This is one of the best views, Melody. Of course, that's Vesuvius over there.
Harry, let's get out of the car for a better look.
Well, I don't think we'd better do that, honey. Driver, drive on, will you,
But
please?
Harry, why are we going? We haven't half seen it yet.
Well, we didn't stop, Dream Girl, for the view. That Alfa Romeo right behind us has been following us this whole time. We stopped to see if he'd stopped, and he did, so he's following us. And the fellow in the back seat is somebody called Minelli.
Minelli?
Mm-hmm. I made some inquiries. We were coming to the port this morning, and his name is Minelli. Mean anything to you?
Minelli? No, I don't think it does.
Well, he seems to take some kind of special interest in you. He's tagging us now. Well, Melody, since we couldn't manage to lose Mr. Minelli by car, maybe we can do it by foot.
Oh, I know what he wants, Harry. I may as well admit it.
Now, wait a minute. You know what he wants? Well, maybe you ought to tell
Well,
me.
I didn't know if I could trust you.
You better trust somebody.
Oh, I've been so scared. I haven't known what to do ever since I've had them in my possession.
Ever since you've had what in your possession?
The pearls of Bohemia.
The pearls of Bohemia.
I have them in my handbag now.
Pearls of
Oh, if we
Bohemia.
only get away from Minelli somehow. I'll tell you all about it.
Well, I wish you would, honey.
Harry Lime returns in just a moment.
the ship pulled out of Naples for Alexandria that afternoon, there was a tea dance on the lounge.
I want to tell you now, all about the pearls.
Okay,
Oh, I hardly
I'd
know
like
where
to
to
hear about
start.
Why not try the beginning? That sometimes works.
Yes, the beginning. Well, I suppose the beginning was Monte Carlo. Anyhow, I went into the casino.
And you had the bad luck to win.
Oh, it wasn't even that. I just fed the roulette and love wheel without any real reason. But it was so exciting, the wheel whirling, all that money, the calls of the croupier.
I know, honey. I've had a go or two myself.
And since then, since Monte Carlo, I've gambled everywhere. Vienna, the new Kursaal in San Marino, Lindau at Lake Constance, all those places. I've met a lot of wicked people.
Yeah, you had what you might call a crook's tour of Europe.
Yes. That's what it might be called. You see, Harry, gambling fever.
Well, but your
I've got...
luck hasn't been so hot.
No.
Face it.
And that's how I fell into the hands of Ziki.
That's the whole name, Ziki?
No, he has an double for unpronounced name.
Oh.
He comes from somewhere near Prague. I'm not sure exactly. But it's behind the Iron Curtain now, anyway. He got away, escaped from the Russians, and went to Paris.
And you met him in Paris and played two-card faro with him and lost your best Roussan honorary hat.
No, I didn't meet him in Paris.
Oh, you mean him?
Yes.
Then comes later.
He'd been the valet of the Count of Bohemia.
The valet. Oh, then it was the Count he met in Paris.
Yes, he rejoined him there.
Oh.
The Count had only two things left, his pride...
And the pearls of Bohemia.
The pearls from the ancient crown of the Counts of Bohemia.
They're romantic.
Oh, I haven't any idea what they're worth, but it must be a fabulous amount.
I can imagine. Now, suppose you tell me how these pearls got passed along to you, honey.
Well, in the first place, Ziki stole them.
Oh. Ziki stole the pearls. Then what did Ziki do?
Nothing for a while. I suppose he was afraid to move.
Oh, I see. And finally, Ziki did decide to try to dispose of the pearls.
Yes.
And...
I met Ziki in Nice. I've been losing at roulette, and Ziki let me money to try to recruit.
Oh.
And then we played cards against each other, and as you said a minute ago, I lost my hat.
The grim picture begins to take shape now. Ziki, am I right, said he'd put you in the way of a means of paying him off.
Yes, that's what he did say.
You would dispose of the pearls.
Yep.
So natural and simple, isn't it? Yeah. In Egypt, this is supposed to be, right?
There's a buyer in Cairo.
I see.
Well, but Cairo, you know who is.
It's more or less, honey, more or less. The shadier side of sunny Egypt. Well, all right, if you're going to take the pearls of Bohemia to Cairo and sell them...
The money is to be paid to Ziki in Italy. Some kind of bank transfer. I don't really understand it.
But Ziki, on receiving the money, tears up your IOUs, which is what concerns you.
Yes. Now you know it all.
Yeah.
The whole tawdry story.
It just occurs to me, Melody, that you may have a little difficulty getting those pearls into Egypt. Past the customs, I mean.
Oh, I thought about that. I lie awake at night thinking about it.
You don't have to worry at all, honey.
I don't think I know what you mean.
Just this. Mr. Manelli, at least, is after those pearls. He or somebody else may get them before we reach Egypt. And you wouldn't have to trouble yourself about how to smuggle them in at all. Well, we talked on a little longer without any tangible result. She didn't feel, understandably, that losing the pearls to Manelli was the right solution to her problem. But how was she to be sure of getting him past the Egyptian Cairo customs? We tried in several questionable ways, but it didn't seem to be a very good fit. And we left in our drinks and went out on the dance floor. Subject, I took her in my arms. That fit was all right. While we were dancing, a man came into the entrance of the ship's lounge. He stopped a minute and stood looking around. Melody, you didn't get a look at him up on the deck last night. I don't think you even got a good look at him during that chase in Naples to now. There he is. But look, that's Manelli.
That man standing in the door?
Yeah, the very one.
Harry?
And what is it? Hey, even a face like yours won't stand that kind of plowing. Why the frown?
That man's name isn't Manelli.
You know him?
I've never met that man, but I remember his appearance. He was pointed out to me a year or so ago. Oh, yes, somewhere on the Riviera. Oh, I'm trying to recall the name I was told. Yes, his name is Vittoria. Vincente Vittoria.
Now, wait a minute. I never met him myself, but there's an international jewel thief called Vincente Vittoria. Very well known.
That's what I was told when that man there in the door to me was pointed out Riviera.
Vincente Vittoria saw Melody and me and turned on his heel and disappeared. I left Melody in the lounge, but supplied myself with a key to her cabin. It occurred to me that Vincente Vittoria might think of having a look for the pearls there, while Melody herself was lost in the wonders of Harry Lime and the waltz. The door was locked, but I don't think Melody's stateroom was just as she'd left it. There was a man inside.
Oh, sir. Oh, it is you, Mr. Lime.
Just putting the lady's dainties back in those wardrobe drawers, are you, Stuart?
Oh, yes, sir, yes. Yes, that is just what I am doing.
You know, Paul, there may be 2 or 3 things wrong with this picture. Shall I enumerate them for you in order? Okay, this isn't your deck. This is B deck. And if it wasn't B deck, this isn't your block of staterooms. But anyhow, the pearls of Bohemia aren't in those wardrobe drawers, so you're wasting your time, old man.
I understand, sir. I must apologize.
Well, you'll have to apologize to the lady, not to me. But maybe you owe me an apology after all. Was it you who went through my cabin last night, Paul, old man?
Yes, I did that.
Looking for the pearls, of course.
Yes, that is what I was doing.
You know, Paul, this could get you into bad color with your employers here on the ship. Steward who wants to be light-fingered with the passenger's property.
The pearls of Bohemia were stolen from their owner by a man named Ziki. The owner did not wish to have the foreign police arrest a fellow countryman of his, but he had Ziki privately watched. Ziki passed on the pearls to Miss Johnson, and the owner was very much surprised to discover himself that Miss Johnson was sailing for Egypt on this ship. The owner supposed that she was going there to dispose of the pearls.
I see. Well, look, come on up to my cabin. We'll have a drink, shall we, old man?
I could not do that, sir. It would not be proper in a steward. I must decline.
And deprive me of the chance of 10 children telling my I once had a drink with the Count of Bohemia. Oh, come along. My cabin. Have a drink together, Count. Talk this whole thing out. We made good time to Alexandria, and Melody was still worried.
Harry.
Yes, honey?
About these pearls. What am I going to do?
You're not going to do anything, honey. You're going to give them to me. I know a trick or two in the smuggling department. Mind if I take this stool here beside you?
The use of a bar is a free to all.
There isn't any need for us to be too polite to each other, Mr. Manelli, or should I say Vittoria? My business with you is business. I see I interest you.
I'm listening.
That's all you got to do, old man, is listen. That and one thing more. That one thing more is pay me 2,000 Egyptian pounds. And believe me, I'm giving you a cheap price. I haven't any opportunity here on shipboard to find out the real value of the pearls of Bohemia. Besides, I want a quick payoff and a get-out-of-town kind of deal. See what I mean?
You are offering to sell me the pearls.
You are remarkably astute, old man, and I'm glad I'm up to your CU computation. Yes, that's right. I have them here in my pocket.
I see.
But ask yourself before you wonder if you ought to knock me over the head and steal them from me, if you, Vincenti Vittoria, known jewel thief, ought to risk taking them through the customs, huh? Or shall I take them through the customs and deliver them to you intact in Alexandria for the small price of 2,000 Egyptian pounds? Done? Huh? A bargain? I thought it would be, old man.
Have you anything to declare, Mr. Lime? This is the Egyptian customs.
Well, my dragoman has got my... You'll find no bags, but nothing dutiable in them. I have these pearls, though. Here, see? 16 or 20 of them.
What is their value, Mr. Lime?
Oh, not much. A few of your Egyptian piastres. You can see for yourself they're not real. Imitation.
Harry Lime returns in just a moment. And now, Harry Lime.
Those pearls were imitation, all right, but pretty convincing. Convincing enough anyhow to deceive an expert like Vincenti Vittorio. He was an honest man of his particular sort and promptly paid me the 2,000 Egyptian pounds when I turned the pearls over to him at a little sidewalk cafe in Alexandria. The pearls ought to have been convincing, of course, because they were made for a very special use. When this is asked to build some such lady, goes to the opera with a couple of 100 carats of diamonds on her fingers, they're very likely to be paste, perfect duplicates, fine imitations, and the real diamonds stay locked up at home or in the bank. That's what fellows like Vincente Vittorio have done to the world of the upper classes, and the world of Bohemian counts is just about the same. So it happened that Count Paul of Bohemia had in his steward's locker the imitation set that matched the real pearls of Bohemia, and I got the real pearls from Melody. Well, I just traded. Melody had said, you remember, that Count Paul had only two things left, his pride and his pearls. He kept his pride, and I thought he might just as well have the pearls, too. Now, all of this left me somewhat under obligation to Melody. I know quite a few people in Cairo, so I may have had something to do with her being voted Miss Pyramids of Giza. The prize money got her out of debt to that fellow Ziki, anyhow, and then there was the dough I got from Vittoria for the phony pearls. Melody and I had a lot of fun spending those 2,000 Egyptian pounds, but that, as the fellow says, is another story. So long for now, and remember, all that glitters is not gold, but it ain't hay either.
You just heard an episode of The Lives of Harry Lime, which originally aired Friday, May 30th, 1952, 69 years ago today. Stay tuned for Matinee Theater, next on ABN.
You're listening to Old Time Radio Sunday on Kpnl Radio, Portland, Oregon.
And your donations. You're listening to ABN, the Antioch Broadcasting Network. You can find us on the web at radio.macinmind.com. Mac in mind, as in, I had the Mac in mind when I wrote this software. That's radio.macinmind.com. We now present Matinee Theater on ABN, the Antioch Broadcasting Network. Here's an episode of Inheritance, which originally aired Sunday, May 30th, 1954, 67 years ago today.
Inheritance. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with the American Legion, presents a story out of that great composite of visions, struggles, and victories of the American past. Our Inheritance. Yes, we Americans are heirs to a vast fortune. A fortune composed of many things. The victory of General Washington at Yorktown. And the voice of a great bell proclaiming liberty. It is a tall, gaunt man holding a nation together through a cruel war. And a people knit closer through the magic of the telegraph. Let us now go back to a significant chapter in America's history, one which we all share in our inheritance. This month marks the 150th anniversary of the start of a great tale of adventure and daring, the trailblazing expedition of Lewis and Clark in 1804 through an uncharted wilderness to the Pacific Northwest, a vast territory known in history as the Louisiana Purchase. Theirs is a bright and brave chapter in the history of our then new nation. Tonight, we pay tribute to the courage, daring, and diplomacy of two young American leaders, Captains Lewis and Clark. It is the year 1803. President Thomas Jefferson has finished dictating a long letter to his private secretary, Meriwether Lewis.
Send the copy, Vice President, of that, President Burr, and that should take care of it.
Yes, sir.
You can transcribe it later. Right now, I want to talk to you about something I've had on my mind for a long time.
Anything wrong, Mr. President?
Not at all, not at all. No, as a matter of fact, you're about the best secretary I've had. But how do you feel about it?
Well, I was very honored when you offered me the position, Mr. President. It's been quite an experience.
Perhaps. But I've noticed your restlessness lately, my young friend. After all, spending an early life in the woods, hunting, trapping, then a short career in the active army might cause a man to champ at the bit once he's settled down with a routine job like this.
I'll admit it lacks in excitement at times, sir, but it's highly interesting.
Yes, the inner workings of a government do have their tense moments. But tell me, are you familiar with the territory known as Louisiana?
Of course, sir.
Then you also know that we're under negotiation with France for the purchase of that territory.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'd like to pose a very pertinent question. Just what are we buying?
I'm afraid I don't follow you, Mr. President.
Well, let me put it this way. The Louisiana territory is vast, almost unexplored. And I have reason to believe that our negotiations will be successful. That territory will become a part of our nation. But is it good land, rich land, valuable and fur, conducive to settlement?
I can appreciate your concern, Mr. President.
Well, then you can also appreciate the need for exploration of this territory. It must be charted, must be mapped. Many questions concerning it must be answered.
Oh, then you propose such an exploration at this time, sir?
I do. In the past, I've helped instigate a few attempts at exploring our western regions. They failed. But I propose one now that I hope and pray will not fail. Yeah, You sit back, Lewis. You're about to fall off the edge of your chair.
Oh, of course.
I knew such a conversation would excite you, my young friend. But from my observations during these 2 years that you've assisted me, excitement of youth is not your only attribute. Courage, honesty, much daring are a part of your composition. Lewis, the leadership of the expedition is yours for the asking.
I'm sorry.
Well, of course, if you don't want the responsibility...
Oh, no, sir. I mean, yes. This is so wonderful, I don't know what to say.
That's quite some time away, my boy. Perhaps your power of speech will return in time for you to say goodbye.
I'm sure it will, sir.
I want you to take a new look at books, study for a while, botany and so on. Then we'll select your men and outfit the party.
Speaking of men, sir, may I make a suggestion?
By all means, it's your expedition.
Recently in the Army, I renewed a boyhood friendship with William Clark. We often talked of adventure, and Will is probably as qualified as I am to lead such a party.
Clark. In relation to George Rogers Clark?
His younger brother, sir. There is no one with whom I'd rather share my command.
Well, he comes from good stock, and with such an enthusiastic recommendation from you, how can I refuse? You write him and see what he thinks of the idea.
I will, sir, right away. But I think I know what he'll say. This is the answer to a dream.
Dan, may it answer all our dreams, Lewis. I wish you the best of luck.
William Clark was notified and quickly accepted, but there were months of preparation ahead. Early in March 1803, Mary went for Philip Lewis, Philadelphia, there to study under men of science of that city. When young Lewis had finished his studies, he proceeded to Dubois, Camp River, just north of St. Louis, where Will Clark had already selected and had begun training a smartly followed group of tears.
All right, Sergeant Floyd. Dismissed until this afternoon.
Yes, miss.
Well, they're drilling well, Captain Clark. Yes, they are. So far, we have a hardy group. Let's hope we can recruit more of the same caliber. Tell me, Sergeant, who's that large man over there? Forgotten his name.
Oh, that's Patrick Gass, sir. Private Gass.
I'd like to speak to him.
Gas? Private Gas.
He's a good man, sir.
Yes, sir.
Captain Clark likes to speak to you, Gass. That'll be all, Sergeant. Check the men's muskets and prepare for target practice this afternoon.
Yes, sir.
I noticed you from my window earlier this morning.
I'm hoping I did nothing wrong, sir.
On the contrary, you were throwing a tomahawk at a target. I believe you had a wager with one of the men.
That I did, sir. Not that I'm a gambling man at heart, sir, but, also the young pup bet me I couldn't split a string at 20 paces, sir.
Well, all I'm interested in is that you did split that string. I was very impressed. It's not easy to master the tomahawk, but apparently you have. I want you to instruct the other men in its use.
Bless me, sir, you want each of the men to carry a tomahawk?
I do. From my correspondence with Captain Lewis, I understand we'll be traveling through many Indian territories. I will be adept at the men with every weapon it's convenient to carry. In an emergency, at our powder agency, we may damp our safety to other weapons. For one thing, tomahawks.
Yes, sir. The point is well taken, sir.
This afternoon at rifle practice, see that each man is issued a tomahawk. You will then be their instructions.
Sir, I beg your pardon.
What is it? Yes, Private.
Captain Lewis, sir. He just arrived.
Good. Where is he?
I showed him to your quarters, sir.
Fine, thank you. Gass, we'll discuss this training later.
Yes, sir. Shall I have the cook prepare a meal, sir?
Yes, I doubt if Captain Lewis has taken lunch yet. Have it sent over to my quarters.
Very good, sir.
Welcome, finest army potent to the north of St. Louis.
Clark, you're certainly a sight for sore eyes.
It's been a long time, Lewis.
Yes, we haven't stood like this since our army days, huh? Well, looks as if we'll share one another's company for a long time to come.
True. What you've written of the expedition sounds wonderful. I haven't been this excited since we hunted possum together back in Virginia.
You still remember that?
I remember that a young fellow 10 years old bagged the first possum and put a 14-year-old Will Clark to shame.
Just a lucky shot. Let's get back to the present. The president's basic instructions call for us to follow the Missouri River to its headwaters, across the highlands, the navigable waters of the Columbia River, and follow it to the Pacific.
Sounds fine, if it works.
Well, It's believed that this will be our best route, but of course it's based on a map that was drawn partly from hearsay and imagination, partly from a... Who knows what barriers lie ahead in that wilderness.
Let's hope before long we'll know from experience.
And so the months passed quickly, months of recruiting, laying in supplies, and rigorous drilling.
Keep firing. 2 bullseyes per man and you can break for chow, but not until. Morgan, bring your shots up. Come on now, pour it on.
No, lad, no. You must let the handle go. Easy like. Now watch. You see, lad, don't be throwing it on a hot stick you on top like it would be rid of. Jesus, gentle. That's better. Now you're getting the swing of it.
Finally, the preparations were... The park fleet at full strength consisted of 45 men, 15 of whom were boatmen who were to go only as far as the Indian villages of the Mandan Nation. On May 14th, 1804, the party broke camp and proceeded up the mighty Missouri. Destination, the Pacific Coast. Route, make one.
Come on, Gas. Pull on that oar. Or maybe you could use your precious tomahawk to paddle us upstream.
Less talking, Gordon, my lad. And more pulling on your oars, my sentiment. Oh, bad says to it, Patrick Gas, whose boyhood dream is to be a soldier, sitting in a boat like a blooming sailor.
Maybe you'd like to swim up the Missouri.
Thank you, lad. No, it's much drier in the boat. Besides, it's a chance for experience.
Experience?
Sure. When we reach the Pacific, I just might not come home overland like the rest. I might just build a little canoe and set out for China. Oh, now there's an expedition to stir an Irishman's heart.
Oh, no. Suppose for the time being you just keep stirring the water here, Gas. To me, the Pacific coast looks as far away as from here China. I'll even brew you a cup of tea if we get there.
When we get there, laddie boy. When?
With abundant game upon the shores and the morale of the men good, the party pushed westward with little difficulty. On June 26th, they reached the mouth of the Kansas River, where now stands Kansas City. 43 days had been consumed in crossing what is now the state of Missouri. By July 26th, they made camp at the mouth of the Platte River, 600 miles from their point of embarkation.
Gas, you, Gordon, Goodrich, and Howard stand watch.
Better post an extra man to the boats, too, Sergeant Lloyd.
I'll take that watch myself, Captain Clark. My bones are tired, but somehow I don't feel like sleeping.
Well, don't overtax yourself, Sergeant. We've still a long way to go.
Yes, sir. Hello, Sergeant.
Good evening, Captain Lewis.
Clark, could I speak to you for a moment?
Oh, of course. That's all, Sergeant.
Yes, sir. Clark, I've been thinking that perhaps we should push on in the morning instead of spending time here talking with the Indians. They're already used to white men from the traders who stopped here.
Seems a good idea to me.
From all reports, we'll have our difficulty with Indians on up the Missouri.
The Sioux?
No. They seem to regard war as a sport.
Well, let's hope they don't play any war games with us. My hair may have grown quite long, but I don't relish a Sioux haircut.
Gas, must you keep throwing that tomahawk?
Practice, lad, practice.
Well, practice somewhere else. Every time I see that tomahawk bury itself into that tree, I think maybe soon one might bury itself in my skull.
Oh, no, my aim is not off that much, lad.
Not you, but those redskins around here. 2 days ago now. We've been sitting around here while the officers exchange gab with those chiefs. And the rest of the Indians just mill around, stare, and never a smile.
Maybe I could tell him a good joke, Gordon boy. Then you wouldn't have a stern-faced Indian scalping you. Smiling.
One of your jokes would get us all burned at the stake for sure. I'd just like to move on.
Oh, now, lad, don't be fretting. The Indians have put out the peace pipe, and we've put out clothes and food. Everybody's happy.
Except me. Sure, they say peace now, but the next minute they may change their minds, and bam. I don't trust them any further than you can throw a stick.
Oh, a stick? Or,
will you please practice somewhere else?
What's trouble over here, boys?
Nothing, Sergeant, nothing at all. We were just discussing whether or not an Indian Tommyhawk would penetrate Gordon's skull. And I doubt if it could.
Well, just keep it friendly, boys. We're all a little on edge, but Captain Lewis tells me the powwow's about over. He doesn't expect trouble from...
What's the matter, Sergeant?
I don't know. I feel funny.
You better sit down, sir.
Yeah.
Gordon, get Captain Clark, quick.
How is he, Clark? No better this morning. Seems to have a high fever. He's getting weaker all the time. And this blasted heat doesn't help any.
Is Private Gas in the shelter with him?
No, Gordon is. I sent Gas off to get some sleep. He was up all night.
Well, so were you. Suppose you get some rest, too.
No, I can't sleep. I'd better get food, though. Did the chiefs leave happy?
Yes, they promised no interference in this region anyway. Go eat. I'll look in on Floyd.
All right.
You better breakfast, too, Gordon.
I'm not hungry, sir.
One sick man is enough, Private. Go on.
Yeah.
Yes, Floyd.
This are you, Captain?
I'm right here.
Hey, I gotta move on, Captain.
Take it easy. Everything's just all right.
Gotta move on.
Be easy there.
I can move on. I gotta move on.
You just rest now. We'll be moving on soon. You'll be well soon.
Captain.
Yes?
This expedition. I always dreamed of something like this. In the unknown. I want to go on.
Floyd. Gordon, get Captain Clark.
Yes, sir.
Good luck, Floyd. Yours is a greater expedition than ours.
Sergeant Floyd was buried atop a high bluff near a small river which was given his name. Upon then, Private Patrick Gass was made sergeant, and the party did what Floyd had desired. Move on. In late October, the expedition reached the Mandan Indian Nation some 1,600 miles from St. Louis. Here, Fort Mandan was constructed, and the men settled down to endure the winter and await the coming of spring.
Am I intruding?
Oh, come on in, Clark. Better double the guard immediately, Sergeant. We have several guests on the post today.
Yes, sir.
Well, what's on your mind, Clark?
I have a surprise for you. What do we need most when we start out again?
An accurate map.
Something within the realm of possibility, please.
You haven't found a guide, have you?
I have. Not only that, but an interpreter all wrapped in the same package.
And he speaks English?
She speaks English.
What?
2 squaws came on the post today. You can imagine my surprise when one of them spoke to me in English.
I don't understand.
She belonged to a tribe of the Snake Indians. The Mandans captured her in a war and sold her at an early age to a French trapper named Chaboneau. He taught her what English he knows, raised her, then married her. We couldn't ask for a better guide into the country we're going. She spent her childhood there.
Of course, but a woman...
Well, she followed Chaboneau on his trapping expeditions. These Indian women are a hardy lot, Louis.
Well, if she could keep up, we do need a guide.
Well, after she spoke to me, she took me to meet her husband, Chaboneau.
Huh?
He agrees to go with us if we'll pay him. All she cares about is seeing her own people again.
Oh.
It might be hard to find another guide.
All right. Only I never thought when I left Washington I'd be led across the country by a woman.
The woman's name was Sacagawea, which translated meant bird woman. She and her husband moved on to the post to await the passing winter and guide the party on. But having a woman on the post was a strange experience for the explorers. One noteworthy experience occurred 5 months after the arrival of Sacagawea and her husband, Chaboneau.
No. Just relax, Chaboneau. Do you care for a smoke?
Oui.
I'll roll you on. No reason to be getting all excited, you know. Just relax. Don't get worked up, no.
Sergeant, it is you who is spilling the tobacco.
Eh? Oh, well, this is all new to me, you know. I mean...
Oh, listen.
Oh, I couldn't have taken much more. I better go tell Captain Lewis and your recruit has just answered their roll call.
In April, the boatmen left the party and returned to St. Louis carrying documents, collections, and trophies. There remained 32 persons to carry on, including the infant son of Sacagawea and Chaboneau. The Bird Woman proved an able guide, and on May 26th, Captain Lewis ascended to the summit of a ridge of hills surrounding the camp and had his first glimpse of the Rocky Mountains. Lewis wrote in his journal,
Obstructions continue and fatigue the men excessively. The banks are so slippery in some places and the mud so adhesive that they're unable to wear their moccasins. 1/4 of the time, they're obliged to be up to their armpits in the cold water, and sometimes they walk for several hours over the sharp fragments of rock which have fallen from the hills.
Howard! Don't let that rope slacken, lad. Keep it taut.
Sergeant, over here.
Oh, what is it, Gordon?
Goodrich has a bad gash on his foot.
It's all right. Move on up shore, Goodrich. I'll take that line. All right, Donna. Heave!
The party pushed on. Then finally in August, Sacagawea led them to several Indian villages she had not visited since her childhood.
Goodrich, have you seen the sergeant?
I think he's in the Council of Chiefs with Lewis and Clark.
Oh, it's a wonder he isn't practicing with his tomahawk. Seems to get the urge every time we're around Redskins.
Tell me about this worried bunch. Why, they're the Bird Woman's people. They've been friendlier to us than any tribe we've met.
An Indian is an Indian, and I... Oh, well, here comes gas now.
Never again, lads. Never again will I see it happen.
Huh? What are you mumbling about?
Storybook, bless me, if I didn't see something you only read about in a storybook.
As if you could read.
Gordon, your petty insults will not rile me this day. My heart is touched. At the council, the Bird Woman sat down to interpret for the captains. And then suddenly her eyes filled with tears. She stared at the chief, cried, then ran to him. Lads, it was her own brother.
Her brother?
Aye. Needless to say, it was a touching sight. The chief was moved too, only not so much as Sacagawea. Matter of fact, I felt it. Tear in my eye myself. Like a storybook it was.
I wish I'd seen that. The tear in your eye, I mean. Imagine Patrick Gass being human.
Like a storybook, all right.
By trading with the Shoshone Indians, the party acquired horses and proceeded westward. The trail was rough as it wound through the Rockies, and heavy snow caused the horses to stumble often. Progress was slow, and by the middle of September, all wild game had vanished, and melted snow was the only water supply.
It's no use pushing on this story.
I agree.
Come, Clark.
We can camp on that ledge.
Sergeant Gass? Yes, sir.
We'll make camp over there.
Very good, sir.
About food?
No game, sir.
Well, then, kill one of the horses.
Captain Clark.
What is it, Sergeant?
Another man on our sick list.
Disease proved a hard enemy, but slowly the starved, weary party made its way down toward level land. They had crossed the Rockies, yet even here food was scarce, the danger of starvation ever present. Lewis fell very ill, but led his party on to the bank of a small river before he became unconscious.
Seems to be fever, sir.
Yes, he's resting comfortably now. I don't think it's too serious. What about the rest of the men, Sergeant?
They're weak, sir.
Well, they'll still have to work. It's either that or lie down and die.
Yes, sir.
This river must be a tributary of the Columbia, and the Columbia leads right to the Pacific.
Oh, it will be a relief to take to water again, sir.
That it will, but we'll need something to take to water in. Order the men to begin work immediately on canoes.
Within a week, Captain Lewis was on his feet, and the weary company once more took to the waterway, down the Lemhi into the Great Salmon, and then to the waters of the Columbia. By trading with Indians along the way, food was secured, and slowly the party regained its health. There were still many miles and many obstacles to face, But the group labored on, and finally, on the 7th of November, 18 months from the day they left St. Louis, a camp was set up. A camp from which was a clear view of the great Pacific Ocean. The westward journey was done.
How long ago it seems.
What's that, Clark?
I was remembering the day I got your letter asking me to join the expedition. Only it seems so long ago. Not merely a few seasons, but an eternity.
I know how you feel. The expanse of this country, even beyond our anticipation. It's awe-inspiring. It's almost as if the section we know as home is in another world, another time.
Yes. And it will still be a hard struggle to get back to that world.
But it can be done, Will. We've proven that. Sergeant?
Yes, sir.
We'll rest here a few days before moving on to a permanent winter camp. Let the men relax. They've earned it.
Yes, sir. And if I might take the liberty, I'd like to say, well, sir, congratulations.
And the same to you, Gas, and to all the men. They have earned it.
Congratulations. The first of many to be bestowed upon the Lewis and Clark expedition. The winter on the coast was hard. The journey homeward as equal in hardship and danger as the westward march. Still, their ragged party reached St. Louis and home September 23rd, 1806, and were greeted by a public which had long before given up the expedition as lost. Many honors were heaped upon Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. Two young men, not unlike the young men of today, who venture into the unknown realm of supersonic speed. This month marks the 150th anniversary of the Lewis and Clark undertaking. It took them 28 months to cover more than 4,000 miles. Today, any young pilot could cover that same western route in about 8 hours. Yet, the spirit is the same. Adventure, determination, courage. A spirit which is the inheritance of every American. You have been listening to Inheritance, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with the American Legion. We are privileged this evening to hear from the National Vice Commander of the American Legion, Department of Pennsylvania, Mr. Herbert Walker.
Today is May 30th, Memorial Day. General John A. Logan, Commander-in-Chief of the Grand Army of the Republic, inaugurated the first Memorial Day observance in 1868 with these words: "Other eyes grow if dull, and other hands slack, and other hearts cold in the solemn trust. Ours shall keep it well as long as the light and warmth of life remain to us." The solemn trust is well kept. Today, in 1954, we commemorate those defenders of liberty who gave their lives at Bunker Hill, Gettysburg, Chateau Thierry, Corregidor, Heartbreak Ridge, or at any place on land or sea where this right was secured. The gift of life is infinitely precious. The simple act of awakening on a spring morning, of breathing the fragrant air, of hearing all the sounds of joyous earth, of knowing one is alive, this experience is the priceless gift of our Creator. But what would life be without freedom? How joyous would a spring morning for a soul who greets another day of bondage and oppression? In our land today, we are still a free people. We realize that our freedom is dearly bought. We offer today in all humility our gratitude, our respect, and our prayers of remembrance for those who paid the supreme price to secure it. In the words of Lincoln, we promise that from these honored dead we take increased devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom. Truly, freedom is the inheritance they left us. To maintain and secure it is our challenge.
Thank you, Mr. Herbert M. Walker. Next Next week, Inheritance will take you on another journey through the pages of history to a time when Americans dreaming of the future forged that which we possess today. Today's story, the Lewis and Clark Expedition, was written by Dick Carr and featured Lamont Johnson as Captain Meriwether Lewis and Lyle Talbot as Captain William Clark. Included in the cast in order of their appearance were Ben Wright, Whitfield Connor, Howard Culver, Marvin Bryan, Glenn Denning. The original music was composed and conducted by Robert Armbruster. Inheritance is produced and directed for the National Broadcasting Company and the American Legion by Albert McCleary. This is John Wall speaking. Senator Guy M. Gillette will meet the press tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
This is ABN, the Antioch Broadcasting Network. You just heard an episode of Inheritance, which originally aired Sunday, May 30th, 1954, 67 years ago today. Here's an episode of Radio City Playhouse, which originally aired Monday, May 30th, 1949, 72 years ago today.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Radio City Playhouse, Attraction 40. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, here is your director on Radio City Playhouse, Harry W. Junkin.
Thank you, Bob. Welcome, everyone, and welcome to Radio City Playhouse. Last November 8th, we did a play called The Promise, about which a great many of you were kind enough to write. Because of the large number of letters asking us to repeat it, we are presenting it again this evening. Our famous and much-loved Jan Miner is heard in the leading role of Ella Prentice. To play her cruel and dominating husband, we are happy to welcome Mr. Ralph Bell. This is Mr. Bell's first appearance on Radio City Playhouse, and we sincerely hope to present him soon again. Here, then, is Jan Miner as Ella, Ralph Bell as Herbert, in The Promise, Attraction 40 on Radio City Playhouse.
It is Pittsburgh, a winter evening in 1938. Before a fireplace in one of the town's most beautiful rooms stands Herbert Prentice. He is in full evening dress and looks like what he is, a very calm, very strong, very big, very handsome man. He looks up at the mantel clock, checks it with his wristwatch, then stares back into the flames. It is exactly 8 o'clock.
Ella. Well, don't tell me you're actually ready on time.
Oh, yes, Herbert, I'm ready. I couldn't find my black gloves or I'd have been ready sooner. Oh, my, I forgot.
What is it?
I promised Mary I'd tuck her in. You get your coat on. I'll meet you in the car. I won't be a minute.
Come here, Ella.
I won't be a minute.
Come here, Ella.
What is it, Herbert?
Come here, please.
Yes, Herbert?
Ella, our daughter is 8 years old. And even if she were in bed, which I doubt, she doesn't require tucking in, as you put it. Now open your cloak.
Herbert,
open your cloak, Ella. I know that you're not wearing the white dress.
Herbert, please.
Open your cloak, Ella. Thank you. Now go upstairs and put on the white dress.
Herbert, please, I don't like it. This one's much nicer.
Do as I say.
But I hate that dress.
You bought it in Paris.
You made me buy it in Paris. Herbert, please don't spoil tonight. I've been looking forward to it so much. All week I've been looking forward to it.
Ella, you know nothing about clothes. This is a very formal party, dear. You're my wife, Mrs. Herbert Prentice. Does that mean anything to you?
Like that white dress, it makes me feel... I don't.
So what?
It's indecent.
Poor Ella.
It is. It's too low. I don't like it. It makes me feel awful.
Ella, your bosom isn't that interesting. Nobody will look at you with lustful eyes. Now, please, we'll be late. Go upstairs and put on the white dress.
Herbert, if you insist on my wearing that dress,
You'll run home to your mother again, yes.
I'll stay home from the party.
Just as you wish, Ella. I told you yesterday that I wanted you to wear that dress. It's very obviously from Paris, and it's very obviously expensive. I wish you'd do as I say. However, if you won't, I'll tell Mrs. Develop to handle you a sick headache. Good night, Ella. Ella.
Yes?
If you can't be a little cooperative, you might at least be polite. I said good night.
Good night, Herbert. Our Father which art in heaven, help me, please. Help me not to be afraid of him. I don't really care about the party, but I'm afraid of him. I've tried to be a good wife. Please let me go to sleep. He'll be home from the party soon. Please, let me go to sleep before he gets home, and please help me not to be afraid. I'll try to think of nice things. I'll try to think of kindness, and then I'll go to sleep. Oh, sleep. Hello? Mrs. Crandall, I didn't come to your party. I had a headache and a... What? Accident? Herbert? Well, is it serious? Hospital? Where? But what hospital? All right, I'll go over right away. Is he suffering very much, Doctor?
We've given him a sedative, Mrs. Prentice. There's nothing else you can do tonight.
I wish you'd be frank with me, Dr. Southwood. Is he badly injured?
Yes. Yes, I'm afraid he is. But he'll get well.
I wish you'd tell me.
It's his back.
Back?
He was leaving the Crandalls and he slipped on the front steps. They were icy. When he fell, he struck his spine on the edge of the steps behind him.
Go on.
We are very lucky to save him at all. Very lucky.
You don't mean, Dr. Southwood... You don't mean that...
Yes.
His back is broken?
Yes, Mrs. Prentice, I'm afraid so. I'm afraid you're going to have to take care of him for a long time. A long time.
Dearest Mother, it was 10 years ago today that Herbert had his accident. He's no better and no worse. He runs the business from home, and he's had a special bed made so that he can sit up. Morris has been made general manager of the plant, but Herbert still treats him dreadfully. Mary is a young woman, and so lovely. 18 is a wonderful age. I worry about her growing up in this strange, unhappy house, but there's little I can do. I just heard the telephone ring downstairs, so I suppose today is our business started. He'll want a shave, so I must close. Please do not feel too sorry for me, because as long as I have Mary with me, I can
Prentice speaking. Yes. Morris, I told you yesterday. Now listen, Morris. For 10 years, I've been running the Prentice Steel Company better from my bed than you do from your desk. Now, either the Sambitsky contract is shipped on time or I'll get a new general manager. You understand? All right. Ella? Ella, I'm ready to shave now. What the devil is she doing?
I've brought your shaving water, Herbert. Did you have a good night?
I had a terrible night.
If only Dr. Southwood could stop your suffering.
I am not suffering. I'm always conscious of it, and it's irritating, that's all, but I am not suffering.
Yes, Herbert.
Yes, Herbert. No, Herbert. Can you manage, Herbert? Where's the soap?
On the tray. Why don't you have a barber come to shave you, Herbert? It would be so much easier.
I hate barbers. It's not too hot.
I'm sorry.
You're all sorry. Always. One night I get tired of hearing you say you're sorry.
Herbert?
What?
Tomorrow night there's a big college dance, and Frank Williams has asked Mary to go. I thought it would be...
No, she can't go.
But why, Herbert? She's 18. Frank Williams is a very...
I don't like him. She can't go.
But, Herbert, it's time, Mary...
Ella, I want to shave. Please get out of here and leave me alone.
Yes, Herbert.
You're behaving very strangely this evening, Ella. What are you up to?
Nothing.
You haven't said a word since we finished dinner. And where's Mary? She knows I like her to read to me at night. Ella, did Mary go to that dance tonight? Did she, Ella? Mary? Mary?
Don't call her, Herbert.
She's gone, hasn't she?
Yes.
You deliberately told her to go, didn't you?
Yes.
After I'd expressly said she couldn't.
Yes.
I see.
I can't let you interfere with Mary. I just can't let you, Herbert.
You can't what?
I can't let you interfere with Mary. She's only 18, Herbert. I can't let you.
Let me. Now get this straight, my dull little mouse of a wife. Nobody lets me do anything. All right. Because of your little flight of whimsy tonight, Ella, our very dull and uninteresting daughter can darn well get out and work.
Work?
She can quit that fancy college and go to work.
Herbert, you can't take her out of college.
Oh, can't I? By the very simple expedient of not writing a check.
I know it's true, Mother. I know it's... There, darling. Don't cry.
Daddy had him fired. Frank told me. Daddy phoned Mr. Crandall and said he wanted Frank Williams fired. And Mr. Crandall had to. Daddy's his biggest customer.
Darling, I don't know what to say. You know what he's like. What can I say for him?
Oh, I didn't mind quitting college, Mother. But I'm not going to give up Frank. I love Frank, Mother. And he loves me. If Daddy hadn't got him fired, we were going to be married. Frank was doing well. Mr. Crandall liked him. Can nobody stop Daddy doing these things? He's only human. Can't somebody stand up to him?
Yes, darling. I think perhaps somebody has to.
Nurse Bryce! Nurse Bryce! Come back, Nurse Bryce! Oh, it's you, Ella. Come in.
Nurse Bryce has left, Herbert.
No, well, she'll be back tomorrow. She slapped me. I just felt affectionate, just a fatherly kiss. Why don't you get mad at me, Ella? Every time I look at you, I wonder how I ever managed to marry you. You're so unendingly dull. Pour me a drink.
Yes, Herbert. Soda?
Yes. Thank you, my lovely one. Why don't you get drunk sometime, Ella? It might do things for you.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. What do you like, Ella? You don't read? You don't go out? What do you like, Ella?
Herbert, did you get Mr. Crandall to fire Frank Williams?
I didn't get him to. I told him to.
Why?
Because he's a fresh punk of a kid with no guts, no brains. He's not going to marry our daughter, such as she is, while I have strength enough to lift a telephone.
Herbert, don't do it. Leave him alone, please. Herbert, please.
I wonder if you know how revolting I find you, my dear. I wonder if you know how I dream of the day you'll go someplace and quietly die. I have a book here, Ella.
A book?
Torture. It's history of the Far East. As well as some very clever ways of killing people, they've one torture in particular that rather appeals to me.
Torture?
They make a cat of nine tails out of fine wire. And then they heat the wire white hot and whip off little flecks of flesh slowly. Very slowly.
But why? Why do you hate me like...
Now get out of here. Wet face.
You monster.
If I could only walk, if I could only get hold of you, if I could only get at you.
But I've never done anything, never anything.
Oh, no, never anything. I hate you because I hate myself for ever having had anything to do with you. You're not a woman, you're a mouse. For I've been 10 years in this bed a cripple, helpless. For 10 years I've listened to you. Yes, Herbert. No, Herbert. Pardon, Herbert. For 10 years. 10 years! Now get out. Get out before I break this whiskey bottle over your dull little head. Don't stand there gawking. Get out!
Herbert, someday I'll kill you.
Get out, I said! Get out!
I will kill him. I know how to do it. I've read his books on torture and murder. I will kill him. I'll kill him tomorrow. No. I'll kill him now. Right now, this very moment. I know just how to do it. I'll put the drug in his cocoa. Now, don't let me lose my nerve. Don't let me be afraid of him. Give me the courage to do it. I'll take some brandy. And then I'll go downstairs and make his cocoa. And do it now. Right now. Steady. I've got to keep steady. Pour out his cocoa. Now the bottle out of my pocket. I've got to keep my nerve. And screw the top. Just a few drops. Stir it. Now, take it into him. Please don't let my hand shake. Please, make me hand it to him. Oh, please. Here's your cocoa.
What on earth were you doing?
Drink it while it's hot.
I'll drink it when I'm ready. Oh, give it to me. It's cold now. There's too much sugar. Oh, don't look like that. I'll drink it. There.
Did it taste all right?
Yes, now go away.
Well, I've done it. At last, I've done it.
I've seen quite enough of you for one day, Ella. Please go to bed. What are you doing?
Having some more brandy.
Have you gone crazy?
I've taken brandy lately, Herbert, didn't you know? All by myself, I drink brandy. I've had 3 or 4 tonight. I find it keeps my courage up.
I've never seen you like this before. I didn't know
Oh, yes, sir, but I drink. I do a lot of things. In fact, I've just drugged your cocoa.
You've what?
Drugged your cocoa.
What are you talking about?
It's sort of a Mickey Finn, only in cocoa instead of liquor. When you're asleep, you won't feel the needle.
Will you stop this, Ella?
I got it from one of your books, Herbert. I could never have thought of it. It had to be all written out. Yes, Herbert. It's all in your book.
Have you suddenly gone off your head?
No. I'm going to kill you tonight, as soon as the drug puts you to sleep. It'll take about an hour to work. And then you'll fall into a very sound sleep, and then I'm going to kill you.
Oh, you are you?
Yes.
You're very, very childish, Ella.
I dialed our own number on the other extension, Herbert, and then I left the receiver off.
I see.
The telephone won't do you any good tonight, Herbert. Are you afraid, Herbert?
No. You haven't the nerve.
It's strange, isn't it? You think I'm so timid. I am, really. But tonight I feel so strong. After you're very sound asleep, Herbert, I do just what I do when I give you a hypo. I stick the needle into a vein, and then I just pump. I just pump in air, Herbert, and that's all. You die.
You're serious. You're actually serious.
Yes, Herbert.
I can't believe it. Not dull, mousy little Ella.
Yes, dull, mousy little Ella.
Of course you'd be caught.
No.
There'd be an autopsy.
No. You've been sick for 10 years. Lately, your heart's been bad anyway. Dr. Southwood won't be surprised. He warned me a year ago when you had your last bad attack that you might be taken. That's what he said, taken. Anytime. He won't order an autopsy. He won't even be surprised.
I'll find the mark of the needle.
No. Your arm is covered with needle marks. You've been taking hypos for years. Besides, it's so hairy, like an ape's. They'll never notice the needle mark. I've given you so many hypos, Herbert, that I'm quite expert. I never make your arm bleed, and I won't this time.
You know that you haven't the nerve, don't you? You haven't the nerve.
Haven't I?
No.
Can't you see it in my eyes?
See what?
Hate. Yes. Hate. Oh, Herbert, you've no idea. You'll probably have a big funeral, and I'll be there weeping. I'll watch them close your coffin, and I'll be crying softly. But, oh, Herbert, inside I'll be laughing. I'll be shouting, he's dead. He's dead.
Ella.
I'll be so glad, Herbert. I'll be so glad I won't be able to bear it.
Ella.
Hate. Oh, Herbert. My dear, you've never... Even when you were well, you kissed me like a savage. You bruised my arms when you made love. Never once have you been tender. Never once. I've all afraid of you. Afraid of your temper, your brutality. Afraid of the foul lights of scenes, throwing things into your
Ella.
I've never mentioned it. I've never talked about it to friends, never to anybody. People think we're very happy. Isn't that funny? With pride, I guess. I didn't want them to know I'd married a fiend. Oh, I hate you, Herbert. You think I haven't the nerve for this, that I won't do it. Oh, Herbert.
Ella.
Do you really think I won't do this? That I won't kill you?
Yes. Yes, I believe you will.
If you'd left Frank and Mary alone, I wouldn't do this. But you're not going to hurt them, Herbert. You're not going to hurt them. They're young, and they're in love, and they're going to marry. This is the first time I've ever stood up to you. Isn't it, Herbert? You don't know what to make of it, do you? You're beginning to look alarmed, Herbert. Are you afraid?
You mean it. You really mean it.
Yes.
But it's murder. It's murder, Ella.
Yes?
Ella Prentice murderess.
I know, but nobody else will. Dr. Southwood will call it death due to a heart condition. No one but I will know that it was an air embolism brought on because I pumped you full of air from a hypodermic syringe.
Ella, you can't do this. Murder, Ella. Mortal sin, Ella. Give me another chance.
No.
Give me the Bible, please. Ella, give me the Bible.
I know what I'm doing is wicked, Herbert. But leave the Bible out of this. You're not worthy even to touch it.
Ella, You're going to give me a chance to make it up to you. Ella, please give me the Bible. It's on the table beside you. Well, if you're going to kill me, the least you can do is let me have the Bible.
I don't trust you.
Ella, I'm sorry. Believe me, I'm sorry. Please give me the Bible. Please.
All right, Herbert. Here.
Thank you. You see, Ella, my hand's on the Bible. Ella, in the name of Almighty God and every sacred word written in this holy book, I swear and promise that I will never be cruel to you again. I swear it. Look, Ella, I'll hold the Bible in my hands. I'll kiss it. I swear in the name of God, in the name of every holy person in this holy book, that I will never be cruel to you again.
And that I will allow my daughter to marry Frank Williams.
I will allow my daughter to marry Frank Williams.
And get him back his job.
And get him back his job.
And that I will leave them alone.
I'll leave him alone. And dear God in heaven, if I break this sacred promise, may I be struck dead in my bed.
Amen.
Amen. Ellie, you've got to believe me.
Will you phone Mr. Crandall in the morning and tell him to hire Frank Williams back?
Yes, I promise.
All right, Herbert.
You won't kill me?
No, Herbert. I won't. I can't imagine anyone breaking a promise like that.
You won't be sorry, Ella.
You'll sleep for a long time because of the dope, but you'll be all right tomorrow.
I'll see you in the morning.
All right, Herbert. Good night.
Oh, Ella.
Yes?
Will you put the extension receiver back on the hook, please?
Why?
Well, I'll phone Crandall tonight. It's not too late. Maybe young Williams can start back to work in the morning.
All right, Herbert.
She fell for it. She fell for it. She did. She put it back. She fell for it. Well, I promise. Scuff. She fell for it. So kill me, would she? Well, we'll fix you, Ella, my girl. Morris and I'll get your sheet locked up in a padded cell. So no one would break a promise like that, eh? Well, now, my girl, it'll be broken as soon as Morris answers this telephone. Between us, we'll fix you for good, my fine, drunken wife.
Hello?
Miss Morris. Something's happened. I want you to get over here right away. Ella has the idea. And... My heart. Morris, my heart. Oh, no. Oh, God. Oh, God, I didn't mean it. I didn't.
Hello?
I'll keep my promise. No.
Hello?
You have just heard The Promise, Attraction 40 on Radio City Playhouse, as written, directed, and produced by Harry W. Junkin. Jan Miner was heard as Ella Prentice. Ralph Bell played her husband, Herbert Prentice. Horace Braham was the doctor. Marilyn Erskine was Mary. The music was composed and conducted by Dr. Roy Shield. This is Harry Junkin again. Next week, one of the most exciting broadcasts we have ever done on Radio City Playhouse, the astounding pages of the famous Sant Report brought to the air.
You're listening to Old Time Radio Sunday on Kpnl Radio, Portland, Oregon.
And your donations. You're listening to ABN, the Antioch Broadcasting Network, serving listeners on the internet and community radio stations with a variety of old-time radio. Visit radio.macinmind.com for more information. We now present Frontier Stories on ABN, the Antioch Broadcasting Network. Here's an episode of Gunsmoke, which originally aired Saturday, May 30th, 1953, 68 years ago today.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on west, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of gun smoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
Mr. Dillon, I've been thinking.
Yeah?
We ought to renovate this place.
What?
Renovate it?
Oh, blast it, Chester.
What's the matter?
Oh, nothing. I'm nothing. I was trying to write and listen to you at the same time, that's all. It can't be done.
Well,
Marshal? Yeah, what's the matter, Lee?
I'm drunk. Way he was walking, I thought he'd been shot.
No, I'm not shot. I never saw you drunk before, Lee. Well, would you like a little coffee or something?
Ah. There's my gun. Now lock me up.
What?
Lock me up, I say.
What, you mean you want to sleep in jail here?
I do. And you keep my gun.
Are there any blankets out there, Chester?
Well, there's one, Mr. Dillon.
Oh, that's enough. Okay, Lee. Just follow Chester, then.
I will. Marshal, I come here to prevent a killer.
Oh?
I'm drunk enough to want to kill him, and I'm sober enough to know I'm too drunk to kill him. You understand?
To kill who, Lee?
Jim Salter. That's who. My foreman.
Is he in town, too?
He is. At the Texas Trail. And let him stay there. Keep him out of here. I'm going to bed.
Yeah, well, right in there, Mr. Dargan. I never saw Mr. Dargan like that before, Mr. Dillon.
No. I wonder what he was fighting with Salter about.
Well, maybe Salter started it. Maybe, too. Maybe he's...
Well, if he is, knowing him, he'll be after someone else to fight with now. I think I'll go take a look, Chester.
All right, sir.
Oh, Chester, if Lee wakes up, just give him another drink, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, how come you're alone, Kitty?
Being alone isn't so bad, Matt, sometimes.
Oh? Buy you a drink?
No, thanks.
I don't see Jim Salter anywhere.
I wouldn't complain about that.
Well, then he was here, huh?
Sitting right where you are. and he'll be back any minute.
How drunk is he, Kitty?
Well, he isn't very drunk. It might be an improvement.
It'd break your heart to talk like that.
If he has one. Here he comes now. Let's ask him.
You look sober enough.
You move in fast, Marshal.
Sit down, Salter. Sit down.
Seeing as how it's my table, I will.
I ran into Lee Dorgan. He was pretty mad about something.
That so?
Yeah. But it's all right as long as you're not looking for trouble.
Me, Marshal? I never look for trouble.
Neither does Lee.
Now, you know those Southerners, Marshal. They're always getting insulted about something.
You've been foreman on Lee's ranch for over a year now, Salter. This the first time he's wanted to kill you?
Is that what he said?
That's what I heard him say.
Yeah. Well, Marshal, Lee's had a little bad luck with his cattle, that's all. When he's had a drink or two, he needs someone to blame it on. You know how it is with these greenhorns.
No. How is it?
If it weren't for me, he wouldn't have as many cows as he's got. Now he's lost a few strays, he's all upset.
Well, as long as it doesn't end in gunplay.
Oh, me and Lee get along fine when he's sober.
Yeah.
You have to leave, Matt?
I'm afraid so, Kitty.
Then I'm going to bed.
Hey, wait a minute. You can't do that.
Who says I can't, mister? Good night.
Good night, Kitty.
Well, I'll be.
Mighty nice of you, Chester, to bring me all that coffee.
Oh, don't mention it, Mr. Dargan. I had a hangover once myself.
Here's your gun, Lee.
Thank you, Marshal.
You, still feel like killing Jim Salter?
I'll kill any man that cheats me. That's how I was brought up, and that's how I am.
So?
I guess it's just instinct that tells me I'm being robbed by him, Marshal. I got no proof at all. None whatsoever.
What is it, Lee? Don't your cattle tally up right?
Look. I came out here from Alabama 18 months ago. I bought a ranch. I'm trying to raise beef. I've learned a little, but I can see it takes years to be a cattleman. Meantime, I'm green and I'm an easy mark, but I'm not so dumb I can't count. Marshal, I branded over 300 calves last spring and fall, and more than half of them are missing right now.
Stolen?
I don't know, Marshal. I've asked every rancher and every buyer around here to be on the lookout for my brand that hasn't turned up once.
Well, why do you think Salter has anything to do with it?
Instinct, I told you. I just don't trust him. Nothing more, but it's enough.
Well, then why don't you fire him?
Pride, I suppose. I want to beat him at his own game, whatever it is.
Well, good luck at it, Lee.
Well, I need more than luck, Marshal. I need a little help. I just don't know enough about this business.
You're asking me to help you?
I am.
But how?
Come out to the ranch. Just take a look around. Maybe you'll see something I can't see.
Well, I don't know.
We're branding again tomorrow, Marshal. Come out then. You got to help me. I'll be ruined if this goes on anymore.
All right, Lee, I'll come. But, will you promise a thing? Give me one.
What's that?
If Salter does prove to be guilty, you won't try to kill him?
No. Promise that. I can't. I respect the law, Marshal, but I got my own code, too. Thanks, just...
Now, wait a minute, Lee. You're stubborn, but I don't think you deserve being ruined. All right, I'll come.
Thank you, Marshal. Thank you. You know, the reason I got drunk last night was because I just felt so almighty helpless. Mad and helpless.
Yeah. I know the feeling.
See you tomorrow.
Well, good morning, Marshal Dillon.
Good morning, Mr. Peters.
And what can I do for you this morning?
Well, I'm interested in some brands that you got registered here.
Oh, you don't mean to tell me that you're going into the cattle business, Marshal?
No, not likely. I just want to see what new brands have been registered in the past, 12 or 13 months.
Well, certainly, Marshal. Let's see, 1860, 75, 68, 68, yeah. Here it is. There you are. That's the official brand book for the last 2 years.
Thank you.
You can start anywhere you like in it.
Well, maybe you remember, Mr. Peters.
Mm-hmm.
Has Jim Salter got a brand registered?
Salter?
Yeah, Jim Salter.
The fellow who works for Lee Dargan?
That's right.
Yeah. Last summer. July, I believe. Look there.
July?
Mm-hmm.
July. Yeah. Here it is.
Yeah?
Salter, James Salter, July 14th. Bar S.
That's it. Bar S, yes, indeed. How's he doing?
Fine, Mr. Peters, fine. Thanks for the help.
Oh, anytime, Marshal, anytime at all. That's what I'm paid for.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Marshal.
When we weren't working, most of the cattle buyers in town spent their time drinking toddy and telling lies at the Dodge House. And there I learned that a number of Bar S calves had been sold in the fall and some more of them in the spring. They remembered because it wasn't often a man sold only calves, and also because the brands were newly burned on. But they said the brands were clean, and there was no question of any previous marking having been altered. I figured Salter was a whole lot smarter than the ordinary rustler. And the next day I found out just how smart.
They sure got their branding fires set far enough apart, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, they have.
There's Jim Salter now at this first fire.
Oh, we'll stop and say hello, Chester.
All right, let him go, boys.
That's interesting.
What is?
I'll tell you later. Now, you don't have to stop work just because we're here, Salter.
That's all right, Marshal.
Yeah, but you didn't brand that one. You'll just have to cut him out and rope him again.
Iron's cold anyway.
Oh, you got another iron there in the fire.
We'll get him branded, Marshal. What are you doing out there anyway?
Oh, we needed a change of scenery, so we thought we'd pay Lee a visit. Where is he?
Working the fire down yonder.
You sure do keep your fires separated.
Anything else you fellas object to?
Well, now, I was just making an entirely impersonal observation, that's all.
Well, go do your observing on Lee. You came to see him.
Salter, I'd starve plumb to death before I'd ever work around you.
You sure would, Chester.
On, Jim. Wasting time.
See?
Yeah.
Later, Mark.
Okay, Adams, bring another one out.
Okay.
He's smart, that Salter.
To me, he's just mean and downright graceless.
Well, he's that too, Chester.
Oh? You got something figured out, Mr. Dillon?
I got it all figured out.
What?
Salter's stealing cattle, all right. I know just how he's doing it. But the problem now is how to handle Lee Dorgan and that code of his. I wouldn't want to see Lee hung for murder.
No, sir. I surely wouldn't either.
Hello.
Hi, Marshal. Hold it, man.
Well, how are you, Marshal? Chester?
Fine, Lee.
We're about through for the day. Why don't you ride on down to the house?
Okay.
I'll be along directly.
We stopped by Salter's fire back there.
Oh, how are they doing?
Fine. Tell me something, Lee. Does Salter always work alone with those same two cowboys?
Yeah, come to think of it, he does. Why?
I was just curious. We'll see you at the house, Lee.
Sure, Marshal. Tell the cook I'll string him up. Supper isn't ready when we get there.
All right, I'll do that.
Well, not a bad house Mr. Dargan's got here, Mr. Dillon.
That's fine. Let's sit on the porch here, Chester. They'll be along soon.
Yes, sir. Mr. Dillon?
Yeah.
Give up. I'm trying to figure it out about Salter. You'll just have to explain it.
Well, I told you he sold fresh branded calves under the Bar S mark that he's got registered.
Yes, sir.
Well, those were Lee's calves. Did you ever hear of using a cold brand, Chester?
A cold brand?
Yeah. You can either put it on through a wet blanket or you can just keep the iron hot enough to burn hair and press it down lightly so it won't scorch the hide.
Well,
Looks like a fine brand for a few months. That is until the calf sheds.
well, I'll be doggone.
And then the calf's as unmarked as the day it got dropped. You can brand it at leisure with any mark that appeals to you, like a Bar S, for example.
So that's what Salter's been doing.
He was about to put a cold iron on that ago when we rode up calf a while.
Sure.
He works at a distance from Dorgan because the other cowboys had noticed right away what he's up to. Poor Lee. He's sure right about being green at this business.
Well, he's going to learn now, Mr. Dillon.
No, Chester, I can't tell him.
Well, why not?
Lee meant it when he said he'd kill Salter if he had any proof. If he did that, he'd be worse off than he is now.
Well, then why don't you just arrest that man?
The judge would let him off, I'm afraid. Cold brand can be laid to carelessness. Of course, we could wait a couple of months and catch him doing his Bar S branding. That's risky, too, though.
Well, what are you going to do, Mr. Dillon?
I don't know, sir. Oh, Chet. But I'll have to figure something out by morning.
We will return to the second act of Gunsmoke in just a moment. But first, there's a lifeline that stretches from here to Korea. A lifeline that you help sustain for our fighting men when you give blood to the Red Cross Blood Donor Program. Call the Red Cross for an appointment to give blood the first thing Monday morning. And now, the second act of Gunsmoke.
Understand it, Marshal. It just doesn't make any sense to me, but I asked for help, so all right, I'll do as you say.
Then call Salter over here and tell...
Okay, Marshal.
Salter? Salter!
Yeah?
Come over here.
What do you want, Lee? We're already late this morning.
I'm going to make a change in our branding setup, Salter.
What?
I've decided it'll be faster. From now on, we all work from one fire to two. Instead,
what for?
You and Adams and Smith will work alongside the rest of us. That's all.
Whose idea is this, anyway?
Those are my orders.
Oh? You still talk like a Confederate colonel, don't you?
That'll do, Salter.
Sure. This is for you, Marshal. I never did like you anyway.
Pretty hard. Must have been on Salter that day, having to put a permanent brand on Lee Dorgan's calves with a good hot iron. But he had no choice, and he did it. About noon, Chester and I said goodbye and rode back to Dodge. I figured that'd be the end of Lee's trouble. But 2 nights later, while Doc and I were taking our ease at the Alfraganza, I found out I was wrong.
Yeah, it's like that ignorant cowboy got a letter from his girl, sweet friend in St. Louis, Matt.
All right, Doc. What did the letter say?
Oh, well, she mentioned that she'd found a nice room with running water.
Yeah.
Running water. And so this uncivilized son of the prairie wrote her back to get rid of that Indian at once or our engagement is off. He thought that running water... you understand that now, don't you, Matt? Because...
With that, the next drink's on you, Doc.
Sure, Matt, sure.
And when you get it, ask the bartender for a couple of good cigars.
As soon as I finish... Oh, see, that was a... Sam, I thought you left Lee Doggan out at his ranch.
What?
Just came in the door. Must be looking for you. He's coming this way, man.
Yeah.
What's that under his arm? Oh, looks like a blanket.
Hello, Lee. Sit down.
Marshal, Doc.
Oh, how are you, Lee?
What are you doing in town? You all through, Brandon?
Yeah, we're through.
Well, how'd it go?
Yeah. Take a look at this blanket, Marshal.
Oh? It's all marked up, isn't it?
It sure is. And it's burned with my brand all over.
Where'd you find this, Lee?
One of my men was riding by the place where Salter and had his branding fire, Marshal. His horse kicked it up. They'd half buried it there.
And he showed it to you, is that it?
That's it. And he explained all about cold branding to me at the same time.
I see. Where's Salter now, Lee?
And he got wind I was on to him and left, Marshal. I think he's in Dodge with those two who worked with him, Adams and Smith.
And, you're looking for him?
And I'm looking for him. But I'm telling you so you can look, too. That blanket's enough evidence even for the law, I figure.
Along with the witnesses that'd convict him. But, I'll find him, Lee.
Better hurry, Marshal. I might find him first.
Lee. You'll stand trial if you kill him.
I'm not worried about that. So long, Marshal.
Why didn't you take his gun, Matt? So's he couldn't get in any trouble.
Hey, just find another one, Doc. Lee's a mighty determined man.
Yes, I can see that.
I'll take that drink another time, Doc. I got work to do.
Sure, Matt.
Oh, do me a favor. Will you drop this blanket off at the office for me?
Oh, you bet your life I will. Well, good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
Mr. Dillon? Mr. Dillon?
Oh, what is it? Yeah, Chester.
There's something wrong, sir. I just saw Salter and two men walk up behind Lee Dargan over there and grab his gun.
What? Where are they?
They were headed toward Kelly's stable. I thought I'd better
Come on.
find you. What are they doing in Dodge, anyway?
Lee's on to him, Chester. He knows the whole story now. And they know he knows it.
Well, then somebody's going to get killed, sure.
Yeah, it looks that way. All right. Stay behind me, Chester.
That's the only door to the stable. They'll have to come out there, sir.
Yeah, I know. But we're going in after them. Easy now. The entrance to Kelly's stable was open, but there was no light showing. Chester and I stepped quickly around the frame of the door. Then we stopped just inside, waiting for our eyes to get used to the darkness. We could hear voices in the back where the men were saddling up. And then, suddenly, we both saw it at the same time.
The first... Oh, Mr. Dillon. Look.
Yeah.
It's Mr. Dargan. They hung him.
And just did it. He can't be dead yet. Here, take my knife and cut him down. You can climb up on the feed box. I'll cover you from here now. Hurry.
Yes, sir. I'll hurry.
What was that? Maybe Dargan got loose somehow. Get up front there and take a look, both of you. I'll finish saddling up.
Okay, Salter. Come on, Smith.
Stay in here, Chester. Don't move.
Mr. Dargan's breathing.
When they come up, we'll jump them. I'll take Adams. Now, quiet now.
I don't see him. Rope must have broke.
Yeah. Let's hit him on the head and have done with him.
Yeah, might as well.
You do it, Smith. I'll wait here.
Yeah, okay. I'll see what
You all right, Chester?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now keep low.
What's going on up there? Adam? Smith?
Mr. Dargan's coming to now. He's breathing easier.
Keep him quiet. Hold him down if he tries to get up. Salter will be along in a minute.
Yes, sir.
What are you two doing? Answer me, blast you. Who's in there?
Throw down your gun, Salter.
Who's that?
It's Matt Dillon. Now do as I say.
Sure, Marshal. Here it is.
All right, Chester. Get the guns off of Adams and Smith. We don't have to worry about Salter.
All right, sir.
Lee? Lee, how are you?
Oh, it's good to breathe again, Marshal. I was about gone.
Well, you're all right. We got him. And Salter's dead. You won't have any trouble now.
No. But it's not easy the way you people educate a man out here.
Well, if it was easy, Lee, anyone could manage.
Well, thanks, Marshal.
Yeah, sure.
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was specially written for Gunsmoke by John Meston, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in the cast were John McIntyre as Lee, Harry Bartell as Salter, and John Daner as Peters. Parley Bear as Chester, Georgia Ellis as Kitty, and Howard McNair as Doc. Gunsmoke has been selected by the Armed Forces Radio Service to be heard by our troops overseas. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, fights to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke. A flirtation that leads to a killing interests Mr. and Mrs. North this coming Tuesday night on CBS Radio. Don't miss Kiss of Death when Pam and Jerry North go into action against a murderer. Also Tuesday night on most of these same CBS radio stations, John Lund, as yours truly, Johnny Dollar, brings us his latest adventure in probing fraudulent insurance claims. Mr. and Mrs. North and yours truly, Johnny Dollar. They're both thrilling Tuesday nighters at the Star's Address. This is Roy Rowan speaking, and this is the CBS Radio Network.
This is ABN, the Antioch Broadcasting Network. You've just heard an episode of Gunsmoke, which originally aired Saturday 30th.
Of Tombstone.
I came from Texas to the Arizona Territory with 2,000 head of scrawny longhorns. But the good grass in the valley of the San Pedro fattened them up like butter. And when I got a contract to deliver 1,000 head to the Indian Agency at San Carlos, I signed with a clear conscience. When you sell beef to the government, they want good beef. They always seem to want it yesterday. Hey, Wichita.
Yo.
Steers, where are the southeast section?
Juan and Jose went for him. You, Frankie, don't run them critters. They gotta be delivered with legs on.
Well, they won't lose much weight on the trail to San Carlos.
Nope, a lot of grass on the route you picked. Have to hustle them to make it in 6 days, old Luke.
Yeah, we sure can't let them do any sightseeing. Closer at the next batch, Frankie.
Well, I wish we had a few more hands. 1,500 logs of bighorns Paso for 6 men and a cook.
1,000 head, Wichita. That's what the contract calls for.
If we deliver 2 out of every 3 we start out with, we're doing mighty nifty.
Now, what are you talking about? If I lost 1 out of 10 on a simple 6-day trail in perfect spring weather, I wouldn't dare call myself a cattleman.
Luke, you've been operating in Texas where there ain't no mountains, no rivers, no Indians, no rustlers, and no legal acting robbers who charge you in cattle if you set foot on their grazeland. There ain't no problems in Texas. Matter of fact, there ain't nothing in Texas.
I knew I had some reason for coming to Arizona, but I'm still not losing 1 for 3 or...
Buenos dias, Senor Slaughter, Senor Witch.
The name's Wichita. And where's them critters you and Jose was supposed to cut and bring in?
They come with Jose.
Oh, why didn't you help him, Juan? We're in a hurry.
It don't take Jose long. Only 50 little cattle.
I told you to cut 100, you loafing scalawag.
There were not 100 left. I think maybe Ramirez visited the southeast section last night.
Luke, I've been telling you it was Ramirez picking away at our herd. This really his time he's this, and if you're asking me, you'd better get out a posse and go after him.
Well, there isn't time, Wichita. If we don't hit the trail today, we can't live up to the contract.
Yeah, and now we ain't got more than about 1,300 head fit for the trail. And if you aim to deliver 1,000, you better take them all.
All right, Wichita. You know Arizona better than I do. But I'll bet we come back with at least 300 steers with my brand on them.
I bet you 6 months' pay we don't.
Easy, Streak. Easy. We're going to start them soon.
6 months' pay. That's what I'll bet you.
All right, I'll give you a real bet. 6 months of your wages against Blue Streak here.
Now, Luke, if you got the best horse and you're a loose string to learn yourself a lesson, I'm willing to teach you. So far, so good, Luke.
Right, Wichita. We'll make a good 20 miles again today.
Herd looks so much smaller than it did when we started yesterday. Anything happen while you was riding night watch?
Nothing much, except now I know Ramirez is in the neighborhood.
Well, why didn't you waken the boys and go after him?
Well, they need their sleep if we're to deliver these cactus boomers on schedule.
But you can't let that thieving Mexican keep cutting in on your herd like this.
Right now I have to, Wichita.
Well, if you was to ask me...
I didn't. Now let's keep these critters moving. Yeah, get on there. Got the coffee boiling there, Cookie?
Yeah, sure have, Mr. Slaughter. Fix your breakfast and 2 jerks if you're ready.
I'll wait until the son and the men get up.
But you've been riding watch since midnight for 3 nights.
Yeah, I'm a little tired at that. You know, this is a good night horse, but he's no Blue Streak. With Streak, I can catch a few winks in the saddle and leave the watching up to him.
No, you shouldn't have betted him against Wichita's pay. We ain't going to get back home with no 300 head.
We'll see. Yeah, this pony's learning. We got visitors out there.
Well, wait while I grab me a Mustang and a gun, Mr. Slaughter.
I'll let you know if I need any help. Let's go, boy. You looking for something, gentlemen?
Whose outfit's this?
Belongs to Luke Slaughter, from down below Tombstone.
You boys ever hear him?
Not me.
No. Me neither. You his trail boss?
That's right.
We watched you bed the outfit down from the mesa. I'd say you got something over 1,000 head.
Yeah, that's right. We were delivering 1,000 to San Carlos.
Government business don't pay. They're too fussy. But good luck to you anyhow.
Thanks.
Oh, by the way, you're crossing private grays. This is part of Wendell Miller's spread.
Our maps don't say so.
Map makers can't keep up with things these days. I don't blame you for taking this short trail to San Carlos. Only you understand it'll cost you 100 head.
Well, if this is Miller's land, then that's his crossing fee. Have your boys cut him out. I haven't got the time or the men to argue. Lash those logs tight, boys. If they come loose in midstream, we lose our chuck wagon.
Looks like she'll float all right, Mr. Slaughter.
Yeah, it's a good trick to get the wagon across, Luke, but...
Texas trick. We did have one little river back there.
But if we drive downstream 11, 12 miles, the critters can ford.
Yeah, and we'd lose a day.
Well, the current's running too strong here. Them lazy longhorns will let themselves wash down river, and we'll lose 2 days rounding them up again.
Blue Streak will make them swim. Juan, Frankie, you both got your top horses?
Si, senor Slaughter.
Good. Follow Streak and me and try to do what we do. The rest of you head the steers into the river. Keep them coming steady.
We're going to lose half of what's left.
Come on, Blue Streak. Huh?
Cookie, once that stubborn Luke gets something into his head...
Hey, look at that gray horse swim at them steers.
Why, he's a hazing them like he was on dry land.
And he's learning the other horses how to do it. Wichita, they got them brainless longhorns swimming across in a straight line.
Maybe they do know a thing or two in Texas.